The September 11, 2025 meeting of the San Diego Community College District Board of Trustees is hereby called to order. Good afternoon, everyone. This meeting is being conducted in a hybrid format with board members and meeting presenters participating in person. Others are participating remotely via Zoom. We also welcome any members of our district community and the members of the public who are viewing the meeting live via YouTube. The board is open to receiving public comments. If anyone is interested in doing so, this is our procedure. To address the board, please fill out a comment card available on the side of the room or from the board recording secretary, Carla. If anyone participating remotely would like to make public comment, please email boardoffice@seccd.edu for further direction. In December 2023, our board adopted a district-wide land acknowledgement to publicly recognize that the land we occupy is the unceded territory and ancestral homeland of the Kumeyaay people. College of Continuing Education student trustee Jair Melendez will now read the district's land acknowledgement. Student trustee.
Thank you, Board President. The San Diego Community College District and its four colleges acknowledge the land we occupy is the unceded territory and ancestral homeland to the Kumeyaay people, where they have lived for over 10,000 years. We honor value to stewardship, knowledge, and cultural worldview of the Kumeyaay people and their commitment to the protection and preservation of the land and their culture. As institution of higher education, we are responsible for providing our Indigenous community members with access, belonging, and success in their educational pursuit within an environment which celebrates their culture. We are responsible for educating all our community members about Indigenous history and culture. We are responsible for examining and taking action to address the injustice of colonization and occupation, which have perpetuated harm against Indigenous, Black, Brown, and other communities. Through the acknowledgement, we honor the Kumeyaay people and express our commitment to truth and respect as foundation of our relationship.
Thank you, student trustee. And can you please now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you, Board President. Please stand. Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We have two readouts from closed session. On item, the board has returned from closed session with the following actions to report. Under item 202 of the closed session agenda, on a motion by trustee Mariah Jamison and second by trustee Craig Milgram, the board approved the implementation of termination of the employment of a classified employee at San Diego Community College District Office as required under section 88013B of the California Education Code. This was an unanimous decision with 5 ayes. We also returned from closed session with the following action to report. Under item 203 of the closed session agenda, on a motion by trustee Maria Nieto Sr. and seconded by trustee Craig Milgram, the board rejected the government tort claim. The vote was unanimous with 5 ayes. Everyone has had a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting. Are there any additions and corrections? Or corrections? No? Okay, well, the minutes stand approved. Now, are there any items to remove from the agenda, Chancellor?
I'd like to remove item 14.03 from the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Now, the consent calendar allows the Board of Trustees to vote on a group of items that are routine, standard, non-controversial, or self-explanatory. As always, any items in section 9, which are board policies, and 10, new business, will automatically be pulled for discussion, as will section 16, information items. Are there any items to pull for discussion in section 11, instructional services? None. Section 12, student services, I have 1201. Any others? Section 13, Budget Finance, I have 1301, 1302, 1303, and 13.10. Section 14, Human Resources, I have 1402. In Section 15, Facilities, Buildings and Real Estate, we have several. 1507, 1508, 09, 15.10, 15.11, 15.12, 13, 15.14, 15.15, and 15.16. I think I got them all. Okay. Does the Academic Senate wish to pull any items at this time? Thank you. All right, colleagues, may I have a motion and a second on the development of the consent calendar?
So moved. I second.
Motion by trustee Nieto Senior, second by trustee Maria Jamison. Will the board members please vote? Okay, the item passes unanimously. Thank you. Now we're moving to section 6, which is public comment. The board is open to receiving public comments. This is the public comment period of the board agenda. If anyone participating remotely would like to make public comment, please email boardoffice@seccd.edu for further direction. Remarks are limited to 4 minutes or 32 minutes for a group speaking on the same subject, which will be monitored by the board secretary. Unless it's an emergency, no action will be taken at this board meeting, but your concerns will be referred to the chancellor and you will be notified of the chancellor's findings and recommendations. Before we have the public comments read, we will call on academic senates first. From City College, we have Mona Al-Zarimi Spiritu. Welcome, Mona.
Good afternoon, Board President and members of the board and Chancellor Smith. We have company today.
Yes.
So I'll start with just some quick updates. We've only had one academic senate meeting this semester since the last meeting. We are in discussions on a resolution regarding increasing childcare access and a resolution on the installation of surveillance cameras, opposing the installation of surveillance cameras on campus. So you'll hear more about that next meeting. Metro students came to our meeting and read a statement opposing a recent censorship of the phrase "river to the sea" on our campus. I think some of them are here today. But the highlight of last week, or this week actually, was a very successful Club Rush Carnival. I'm not usually in attendance to these kinds of events, but I decided to try something new. And so I went, lots of club members went, lots of club representatives went, and our ASG, of course, was organizing, and I think the highlight for everyone was that Ricky was sitting in the dunk tank for a good 20 minutes. So I don't know if he's here today, but if he is, shout out to Ricky for giving us all a chance to work out our issues with authority. We definitely enjoyed it too much. I'm still kind of recovering from the adrenaline rush, but it was lots of fun. So I also want to recognize that I am here to address a resolution that the Academic Senate passed last year, I believe, in 2024, regarding free speech. So in this resolution, we specifically ask the district to respect our free speech. And I'm going to read one whereas that is directly relevant to something happening right now. Whereas from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, a popular rallying cry for Palestinian liberation in the context of the illegal occupation of Palestine by the Israeli state is generally understood by activists as a call for freedom for Palestinians living under occupation. Similar to the way Black Lives Matter seeks to address the disproportionate impact of institutional racism on Black people, From the River to the Sea seeks to address the impact of Israeli occupation on Palestinian people and does not imply that Jewish or Israeli individuals should not also be free to live peacefully in that region. This was passed in 2024 in our Senate. ASG also passed, I believe, the same resolution, and then San Diego Mesa College passed a similar resolution. That is just one whereas that's relevant, and I'm going to read probably the most relevant resolved. Be it resolved that the San Diego Community College District reject the dangerous conflation of support for Palestine with anti-Semitism and stand against racism and human rights violations in all its forms. This is relevant because recently, a couple of times in the past year, students were asked to take down, or faculty were asked to take down banners that featured the phrase "from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." And then subsequently, we received notification via email, all faculty and employees, that "river to the sea, Palestine will be free" is in violation with our non-discrimination policy. We've had many conversations about this. And so today I'm here to talk a little bit more about what this means to our campus and, of course, ask that the district reconsiders this position. I recently attended the People's Conference for Palestine in Detroit and was reminded of how important our jobs are as liberatory educators and how important it is for you all as administrators, as leaders, to support us in that. I came to City as like a regular person. I didn't come to City like this. City created me. City taught me how to be a liberatory educator. City taught me pedagogy of the oppressed. It taught me social justice. It taught me what settler colonialism means to people. It taught me institutional racism. So like everything that's happening, everything that you see these faculty and students doing is a direct result of the kind of professional development we've engaged in our campus. I didn't used to think that giving up River to the Sea was a big deal. And I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that now, right? Because I am Palestinian, and it should have always been precious to me, but I followed the students' lead and stood behind it. But the past few months, I've been learning, talking to elders, and rediscovering the way that narratives impact movements for liberation. Some of you might know that years ago, I worked on the first Reclaiming Our Stories book for Pillars of the Community. We worked with community members. We shared stories, and then eventually we published more than a dozen stories from community members. We started with the idea that until all our stories are told, people will believe whatever narrative the mainstream media has created. We all understood the power of reclaiming the narratives that had been created around our identities and communities. We took the book to many of our classes. In fact, we sold out of the book. It was so popular. With the same philosophy that the narratives of marginalized communities must be brought to the surface and create meaningful change. And those same principles apply here for Palestinians. The narratives of colonized people, Palestinian people, are being erased with the help of educational institutions that have succumbed to fear. None of this is neutral. I know our district is attempting to be neutral, but none of these decisions are neutral. And all of them have a serious impact on our campus community and the global conversation. So I want to read a part of our land acknowledgement that we just read that I think is extremely relevant to this conversation. We are responsible for examining and taking action to address the injustices of colonization and occupation, which have perpetuated harm against Indigenous, Black, Brown, and other communities. We're just doing our job. This is our job. The district has told us this is our job. City College has put me on the path of becoming a liberatory educator, and our land acknowledgement is evidence of that. As Angela Davis said, and so many other scholars have said, Palestine is the litmus test. The struggles of the colonized people in Palestine are bound up together with the struggles for freedom, including Black liberation, LGBTQ liberation, immigration struggles, and more. Gaza is the compass point, and the compass points to freedom for all of these groups. So I have a little story. I recently, like I said, was in Detroit and my family lives in Detroit. So I got to spend some time with my grandmother who was born in Palestine in 1938, before the Nakba, also known as the catastrophe, and the beginning of occupation. At that time, there was no Hamas, there was no PLO, there was no resistance because there was nothing to resist. And I think of all the stories she told me, the most striking was that when she came from a village, eventually moved to Jerusalem, and in Jerusalem, her neighbors were Jewish and Christian, and they lived side by side. They celebrated each other's holidays without tension. And in 1948, what she remembers most, aside from violence, was that her neighbors disappeared. Her Jewish neighbors disappeared. And as a child, she didn't understand why. Where did her Jewish neighbors go? And what happened in 1948 was segregation and the beginning of apartheid. So there was a time when from the river to the sea, Palestine was free. And during that time, Palestinians, Christians, and Muslims were free. So I just want to remind us that silencing colonized people, and Palestinians are colonized people. Colonization started in 1948 and continues to this day. And amplifying and prioritizing the voices of those who support colonization and occupation is discriminatory. These efforts to erase the memory of a free Palestine, the memory that my almost 90-year-old grandma has and will soon disappear, are rooted in colonialism and censoring language in favor of settler colonialism. Are rooted in colonialism and censoring language in favor of a settler colonialism, apartheid genocidal state is offensive and directly contributing to these efforts ultimately aligns our district with a genocidal state that is actively starving and bombing Gaza, annexing the West Bank, and terrorizing the rest of the Middle East. Censoring language, murdering Palestinians, destroying homes and refugee camps are all a part of the intense effort to erase our collective memory of home. The perceived possible meaning of river to the sea makes some people uncomfortable. I understand that, but it should. It brings to the surface the reality of settler colonialism, and it disrupts a very carefully created narrative by the Israeli government, one that many Jewish people, even Israeli citizens, have come to reject because they understand that no one in that region will be free until Palestinians are free. I'm almost done. So you all have heard me talk about Coates before, right? Coates is everywhere. He's in my class. My students love his book, and the message has brought something new to our world, I think. So I want to read just a very short part of his section of when he visits the West Bank in Jerusalem. And he discovered, as many of you know if you've read this book, that Palestine, Israel, the whole conflict is not what he thought it was. And in this section, he talks about apartheid. I now noted a symmetry in the Brahmides, that those who claimed Israel as the only democracy in the Middle East were just as likely to claim that America was the oldest democracy in the world. And both claims relied on excluding whole swaths of population living under the rule of state. And later he says, Palestinians living in Israel have shorter lives, are poorer, and live in more violent neighborhoods. Certain neighborhoods in Israel are allowed to discriminate legally against Palestinian citizens by setting admission committees. Imagine if our district, he later also compares what he sees in the West Bank to Jim Crow United States. Imagine if our district supported narratives of Jim Crow law supporters. Can you imagine that? If we said, what about your voice? We want to hear the voice of Jim Crow supporters, right? We want to hear the voice of white supremacists, and we want to give that a pedestal. That's what's happening here. I have one more. It's a very short passage. On the last page, he says, if Palestinians are to be truly seen, it will be through stories woven by their own hands and not by their plunderers. And here I am, a Palestinian, telling you that we need to be seen and heard. So it's up to the district to uphold our values and do the right thing. I'm not sure if you know, but that's our theme this semester at City College, do the right thing. You should be asking us, Middle Easterners, Muslim students, Arabs, Palestinians, faculty and students for justice in Palestine, how can we support you? Are you okay? What can you do? What can we do to help you through this horrendous time instead of censorship in any form? And lastly, I also think that some of us understand that getting complaints is just, a part of life. We get complaints, and sometimes getting complaints also means that we're doing the right thing. Getting complaints of a certain nature means it's confirmation that we are disrupting the status quo. And when the status quo is genocide, colonization, and apartheid, we should be proud and not afraid. Thank you.
Okay, now we go to Mary Nguyen from Mesa College. Welcome, Mary.
Good afternoon. Our campus continues to thrive. Our enrollments are good, and our students are excellent as billed. Our exec meeting, our Senate has not met yet. Our first meeting is next Monday, but our executive committee met earlier this week. And we are finishing up some old business from last semester and carrying on new business this semester. And we also had a Senate retreat last Friday, and that went very well. We got to know each other, and we're ready to start the business of self-governance, or I should say, participatory governance. One of the things I wanted to mention going on our campus is this exhibit at the art gallery that we've got going on through the 16th of October. It's entitled Clothes Story. And this exhibition celebrates the lives and contributions of African-American women by carefully replicating garments and fashion accessories that represent what women wore in historical periods ranging from 1890 to 1963. It really is a moving tribute to the strength, resilience, and courage of the women who wore these types of clothes. And if you get a chance, come by Mesa and check it out. It's really beautiful. One of my duties as Academic Senate President at Mesa is to represent the Faculty Senate to the Chancellor and the Board of Trustees. And so in that capacity, I've been asked to talk about a couple of student equity issues of concern for faculty. So here it goes. The first one is this. This week, we had a meeting on our campus to continue the conversation about the issue of how we fail to attract and retain full-time faculty because our starting salaries are not competitive with other community colleges in California. About 30 people from across the district attended, and we had an extensive discussion about the issue. According to the CFT 24-25 report, we ranked 65th out of 72 districts for our starting full-time faculty salary. According to the same report, we rank 58 out of 72 for our max salary with a doctorate. And we understand that the RAF is fixed and the budget is about to be approved. However, we still need to reiterate that because our salaries are not competitive, we have difficulty attracting and retaining high-quality, experienced faculty to meet the student needs. While we do have high-quality, experienced adjunct faculty, because most must teach at multiple colleges or work additional jobs to make ends meet, their availability to students for office hours, mentoring, or extracurricular support is reduced. Community college students, who often need more personalized guidance, end up with less access to the very people who could help them succeed. Furthermore, the lack of competitiveness in our pay has hurt our attempts to diversify the full-time faculty pool. We want our faculty body to more accurately represent our diverse student populations. But when we can't retain diverse role models who are critical for creating inclusive, culturally responsive classrooms, our students miss out there too. This presents the first equity issue of concern that I've been asked to talk about. The second student equity issue I've been asked to talk about has to do with the apparent insurance requirement involved in the request for contract process. I believe it was last June there was a training on our campus about this process. I was not in attendance, but multiple faculty members have reported their concerns to me. I will read from what only one colleague wrote to me. They articulate very well the concerns I've heard about this issue. Quote, during the presentation on requisitions by a district business service representative, one of the topics raised was district liability. Previous liability had been addressed through a waiver provided by the district. This was a health/injury liability waiver. After some questioning, the district presenter indicated that this was not a health waiver, but a speech waiver to indemnify the district should a speaker/performer offend anyone with their presentation. Having arranged many guests, this is my colleague, I can assert that few of our typical guests have speaker insurance of this type. Most guests are academics from local institutions, community members, local artists, and others who are not professional speakers and who are willing to accept moderate remuneration for their time and effort. Few would have any inkling of where to get such insurance, what it costs, or why they even need it. My colleague goes on to say, one important issue here is a lack of clarity about the process for insurance. Section 5 of the request for contract form required for all agreements includes the following. And this is another quotation. Insurance coverage is part of the district's risk management strategy. All agreements will require insurance documentation. Please answer all questions below to assure proper insurance documentation is provided, end quote. So that's a quotation from this request for contract. This seems to indicate that all agreements require insurance. However, upon inquiry with District Business Services, the following was stated when asked about the insurance issue. And this is my colleague again quoting District Business Services. Quote, in terms of insurance requirements, the district office will determine what, if any, insurance is required. The district will work with any of our speakers if they deem it required. I'm not familiar with insurance options, end quote. Faculty on my campus, and this is why they asked me to talk about this, are now hesitant to invite people to campus. Not only are the requirements unclear to us, if any event has any level of perceived controversy, the concern is that speakers will be asked to purchase potentially costly insurance. This has the added effect of potentially being perceived as an indictment of the guest as problematic or controversial. It also reduces those who are traditionally treated as guests to guests on campus to contractors performing a service for a fee. Another colleague expressed to me that this reduction of the speaker to a contractor, this idea, shows a lack of respect. Guests of this sort I just described are often invited to campus to enhance education and offer perspectives that students would not get otherwise. But for ethnic studies programs, these kinds of guests are not just an enhancement, they're integral. One of my ethnic studies colleagues let me know that community engagement is part of the ethnic studies course outlines. The concern here is that the insurance requirement is a potential barrier to the community engagement that is a crucial part of the ethnic studies pedagogy and a requirement for the class, or for the classes, I should say. In closing, provoking thought and critical thinking are among the main components of the job of higher education. Presenting different points of view is critical and necessary. A consequence, unforeseen, I believe, of this insurance requirement is that it stands to inhibit our mission and free speech, and thus presents the equity issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Now we go to Miramar College. Is Rodrigo Gomez?
Can I ask if the speaker's mic be turned up a little bit? Having trouble hearing.
Oh, Rodrigo Gomez, I think.
The last one was hard to hear.
Doesn't look like he's here.
Okay.
very
And
soon.
now on Zoom, right? Okay. And I know that Academic Senate representation from College of Continuing Education is also not available today, or,
Oh, I'm sorry, Rodrigo Gomez is on Zoom.
oh, okay. So we go to,
Promote him to panelist. And he should now be able to unmute himself.
welcome, Rodrigo.
Hello, can you guys hear me okay? Just making sure the audio's okay.
Yes, maybe a little bit higher.
Okay, great. Let me go ahead and speak up a
Oh.
little more loudly as well. Yeah, good evening, trustees, chancellor, and colleagues. I'm sorry I can't be there with you in person tonight. I just got back from the Future Summit, where San Diego Community College District took part in a statewide conversation on artificial intelligence in higher education. Panels focused on how colleges are developing AI guidelines and resolutions and preparing for an AI integrated future that supports our students. And it's clear that SDCCD is helping to lead in those conversations, so I'm happy to report that back. And it directly relates to work that we've been talking about at our Senate Exec, and that we will be exploring more at this upcoming Senate. Our Senate meeting is September 16th, and we'll be reviewing and voting on Miramar's College Technology Plan, as well as some statewide minimum qualifications proposals. A specific one to highlight here is the inclusion of Filipino studies into the Asian American Pacific Islander discipline. Both of these items sort of show how faculty are contributing to planning, equity, and representation in ways that impact our students directly. We'll also be hearing updates on the rollout of the new customer relationship management tool, CRM system Element 451, and discussing how it may strengthen early alert and proactive intervention systems, support student retention and persistence, and help close equity gaps by integrating data across student support services. Part of our task will be to consider as well how this tool could align with Miramar's Guided Pathways framework and support accreditation standards related to institutional effectiveness and student success. At the same time, we'll continue discussions through the Miramar AI Work Group and communities of inquiry and practice that we now have at the college, where faculty from different disciplines are sharing perspectives on how AI is shaping teaching and learning. In addition, our Senate will receive a report from the Basic Needs Resource Center, which has recently expanded services to include basic needs counseling. This is an important step in supporting student success beyond the classroom. And finally, I just wanted to close with acknowledging the leadership of our new curriculum chair, Veronica Hartman, and thank the many new and returning senators for stepping up for governance this fall. So thank you. And again, I apologize I cannot be there. I'll definitely look to be in person at the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Rodrigo. Okay, I think we're done with our academic senates. Thank you for your input. Now we will call next on the classified senates for an update. Any representation from classified senates? No one online, Amanda? No? Okay. So now we're gonna start calling on those that have completed a comment card. Amanda?
Yes, our first comment card is Coco Bazemore.
Good afternoon, trustees. My name is Coco Bazemore, and I serve as the Vice President of the San Diego Management Association, and I am a manager of fiscal services and grants and contracts. Monica Romero, STMA President, regrets that she is unable to attend today's meeting, and I appreciate the opportunity to share this update on behalf of our association. The Management Association is excited to announce our next professional development event for managers, and we warmly invite the board to attend on November 7th from 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. at North City Center. We will host Dr. Stephen Jones, a dynamic and inspirational speaker specializing in transformational leadership. Dr. Jones will guide us through the intricacies of cultivating a workplace where individuals can thrive and lead with excellence while avoiding the perfection trap. This experience is designed to elevate leadership practices across the district and empower managers to lead with authenticity and impact. Regarding our role in supporting managers across the district, STMA has received concerns about the upcoming campus climate survey. These concerns stem from negative experiences in other districts where the same RP group survey results were used in a punitive manner, particularly towards managers. STMA is committed to helping our managers reach their full potential through professional development and mentorship. To that end, we believe it is essential to understand not only how individuals feel, but also why they feel that way. The current questionnaire emphasizes the former, while only lightly addresses the latter. We appreciate the clarity of intent of the survey expressed by People, Technology, and Culture Services, and we respectfully request reassurance from the board that the survey outcomes will be used constructively and not be used punitively against managers. Further, that STMA and district leadership will work collaboratively to identify root causes and co-create solutions for any areas of concern. We look forward to partnering to ensure the survey fosters growth, trust, and transparency. We thank the board for your continued support and look forward to working together to strengthen leadership and services across STCCD. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Daniel Villegas. Daniel Villegas.
Hi, my name is Daniel Villegas. I go by Chieftain. Let's see. Yesterday I tried to get food from the food pantry in Miramar, and because I don't have a password, I can't get food. My ABT is canceled. I'm struggling. I'm behind rent. I can't even eat. There's no place to use cash to get food. There should be some place for students to use their EBT card on campus. There should be somewhere I could write my number down and just get a snack and keep going. It's already hard enough, but I was uplifted this Saturday to see some of these people, or you, and so many people at the event on campus. It was Michelle Alexander, and it wasn't a campus event. And I think those people need to come to our campus. You can't use cash. Okay. I need a dedicated lab tech for the studio for Miramar City College. It's the same thing I've always asked for. We don't need any more cameras. I'm also part of Students for Housing Justice, as well as many other clubs. I met a girl who today was, her leg was, she just had surgery. She was on crutches in the hallway. She's unhoused. People need housing now, a safe parking lot or a place for them now. We don't need any more students to die. We don't want ICE, CBP. We don't need surveillance cameras. We need to all stand together and fight the things that the evil people who are doing all the evil right now. The courts ain't gonna save us. The last line of defense is the institutions, right? And if you stand with us, we will stand with you. But yeah, we passed a resolution for free speech as Students for Justice in Palestine. Please, it's the most powerful campus club I ever met or been a part of. I've never been a part of a campus club that passed resolutions. We passed 2, so please honor those. because I know they're gonna come for me. My professors have already told me, or they told me to make a plan for the exits. But I'm not gonna be quiet, and I'm gonna fight any mask man that comes to my school. And so, no, we don't want Homeland Security at any career fair on any campus, and I will go and protest them all. I don't want ICE. We don't want any of those things. We don't need cameras. We need support for students. You all know this year a student passed away right outside of our campus. He had a plan for housing, and we still don't have housing, and they're trying to censor art. I mean, I don't know. From the river to the sea, from the barrio to the bay, we need to fight the evil people who are taking over our country. There's not going to be a democracy. There's not going to be a place for me to go to school anymore. I'm trying to be a Chicano studies professor because I think that's the revolutionary professors who are doing the good work in our communities. People fought to have those classes, and we need to expand them, not cut them. We live in a place that's being squeezed. All the social safety networks and things are going to get even more crazier. And we have to stand together. We have to give people jobs, give people hope.
I'm sorry, your time is up.
Thank
you. For our next topic, I have 28 speaker cards. As President Arroyo said, our policy is that speakers are allowed up to 4 minutes per speaker, up to 32 minutes per topic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start reading who the first few people so that you can hopefully line up to minimize time between speakers. And I'll continue letting you guys know who the next few speakers will be. And I'll continue letting you know about how much time is left. So our first few speakers are Elizabeth Fee, Ann Elliott, Professor Najah Abdelkadir, Abdullah Tahiri, and Nadia Swanson.
Hello, members of the board, community members, and City and Mesa SJP members. My name is Elizabeth Fee, and I am a Mesa student and president of the Students for Justice in Palestine group at Mesa College. First, I want to thank the district's legal team that has met with us to develop an ethical procurement policy. I really look forward to working with you during the semester. When we drafted a free speech revolution and uttered the phrase "from the river to the sea," a statement of equitable rights and self-determination for all people, we were met with accusations of violence, and our free speech was threatened. Advocating for the safety of innocent people, divesting from arms, and the demand for accountability are things that our predecessors are praised for. What makes this so different? When immigrants are being racially profiled and kidnapped by ICE, you speak up. When queer folks need a safe place to exist across our campuses, you make that space. When students of color need programs to help balance this racially biased infrastructure, you make it happen. But when students say "from the river to the sea," you silence us? It was through Mesa College's Communication Studies program that I was able to acquire the skills of drafting a speech and presenting it to a group like this one. It was through SDCCD's partnership with our AFT, our local teachers union, that I'm learning what it means to deconstruct racist and classist infrastructure. Make no mistake, I want to be a proud SDCCD student, but I'm struggling to do so. I'm struggling to be proud because the district has compromised their values, those that make them an educational institution that serves their students' best interests and rights. Your alleged pursuit of good trouble, a phrase often iterated to professors and faculty, is one that has its origins in the civil rights movement coined by John Lewis, a civil rights leader, that pushed for a bill that affirmed our right to participate in boycotts, including ones that divest us from the apartheid state of Israel. Members of the board, I implore you to be on the right side of history and make good trouble and work with the students you claim to serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ann Elliott.
Hi, my name's Ann Elliott, and I'm a member of JVP and ACLU. And I was born during World War II. I've seen every movement for social justice in this country. And right now we are going back. Should be very afraid that we are going to lose our civil rights. And the specific issue that brought us here was from the river to the sea, but that's just one aspect of what we face. We cannot lose our freedom of speech. Even when the Nazi people are allowed to speak freely and accorded that right by the US Supreme Court, we cannot be criticizing people when they disagree with each other to the point where we are not allowed to speak at all. That's it. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Professor Najah Abdelkader. I teach at Miramar College and at Southwest College, and I'm part of Restorative Justice. Originally, I am from Iraq, Baghdad. So I know, I don't know if you are familiar with Saddam Hussein, the dictator. So I lived, and I know what it is to be living under a dictatorship. And I suffered. My father was put in prison and was put in death row for speaking out, for disrupting the narrative and the oppressive narrative of Saddam Hussein. So, board members, I would like to remind us that at the center of our mission and values at SDCCD is education that is based on critical thinking. An education that acknowledges, right? This is in our value and mission, that an education that acknowledges global diversity, equity, and inclusivity in all its manifestation. What is education? What is education? It's a form of uplifting us to see those powers, those factors that shackle us, that keeps us down. Education is a form of liberation, right? It's an act of uplifting our students. And it's very interesting when this is our value and our mission, yet we as professors are unable to do it among ourselves. I have proposed at Miramar, freedom of expression and academic freedom in the academic senate. And ironically, I was threatened with retaliation, with a language in my face that says, if you don't stop that, I'll make sure to stop you. This is from one professor to another professor. And when I asked why, just is, the answer came, just is. Imagine if we use that language with our students. How would our students feel? True education is about disrupting. I remember a word that I learned from Professor Maria Nieto Senior. You were my professor when I was a student at CCB, the community block certification. And I remember a very astute word that you told us, a story about yourself and your family. And the word is shaping, right? You know, how we as educators, sometimes we need to disrupt, to shave the narrative that holds us back. Unless that takes place, the narrative will stay, the status quo narrative will stay the same. Nothing changed. Education is about bringing up better citizens, participating citizens, but participating citizenship can happen with critical thinking, asking pertinent question about an issue at hand For the sake of what? Not repeating the mistake. And what is the issue at hand that we are talking about?
sorry,
Is
your time is up.
freedom of expression.
Good afternoon. I'm going to start with a compliment. Amanda, I love the hair. I'm so glad that Mr. Arroyo and Mr. Melendez started this meeting by acknowledging that we are on the land of the occupied. And it is super important that we give voice to the oppressed, to the marginalized, and to the occupied. My name is Abdullah Tahiri. I represent Muslim Leadership Council of San Diego. I'm the vice chair. And our organization represents the entire Muslim community across San Diego. Many of our students attend your colleges, and they will be attending your colleges. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak on behalf of our community. We really want to reiterate your decision to curtail freedom of speech and to reinterpret your own policies to appease one subset group while discriminating against other groups is virtue signaling at its worst. This decision, if approved, will have irreparable harm to San Diego Community College District for years to come. It will create an environment of disengagement for majority of your students and your faculty members. As George Washington once said beautifully, if freedom of speech is taken away, then dumb and silent we may be led like sheep to the slaughterhouse. The amazing Jewish scholar Noam Chomsky said beautifully, if we do not believe in freedom of expression for people we despise, we don't believe in freedom of speech at all. If San Diego County Community College District does not heed these timeless nuggets of wisdom, it will pay a steep price for reputational harm and students and faculty disengagement, and not to mention compromising the integrity of your institution you have worked so hard to build. So please be very careful with the decision you make, because you will live with this for the rest of your lives. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Nadia Swanson. After her is Marco Guajardo, Samir Ismail, Tanya Mustafa, and America Martinez. You have 22 and a half minutes.
I do? Makes sense. This is so much bigger than from the river to the sea, right? This is about keeping our First Amendment rights open. This is about not falling into the trap of propagating Project 2025, right? It starts with this, but it will not end. They will keep coming and coming and coming. And you know what I'm really uncomfortable with? I'm really uncomfortable with Star of David. That symbol scares me. The Israeli flag scares me. My parents were driven out of their homeland, and this flag came up, and they are committing a genocide today. They've been committing ethnic cleansing since my parents escaped. And now they're doing it in the most horrendous way possible, starvation and murder of children in and out on a daily basis to ensure that no Palestinians will be left. But if I came to my district and expressed that, I would be labeled an anti-Semitic. I would be vilified. I would be censored, right? The conflation of anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism has caused a catastrophic breakdown in all systems of freedom in this country, the freedoms that they so proudly boast. And make no mistake, Israel is committing a genocide. It's been acknowledged by world leaders, all humanitarian world organizations, hundreds of organizations across the globe, and even our own senators. A report by Senators Van Hollen and Merkley recently published. The Netanyahu government is implementing a plan to ethnically cleanse Gaza and Palestinians. America is complicit. The world must stop it. These are our senators. Censorship adheres to Trump's Project 2025 plan. As an institution that celebrates diversity and invests in higher education, social justice, freedom of speech, you have to take a stance now and whenever a complaint like this arises, because they will not stop. This is your chance to be on the right side of history, as everyone else has been saying. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Marco Guajardo. I'm a co-chair for Students in Justice in Palestine at City College and a journalism student. Real quick before I start, America Martinez, I don't think is here, so we can scratch her off that. First of all, thank you for the work and the leadership that y'all do on our behalf here at the district. The Palestinian resistance movement is an 80-year struggle led by Palestinians, born of their need to be free from a Western-imposed settler colonialist state project, similar to the one referenced in our land acknowledgement. The genocide of Gaza that we're seeing right now is nothing more than a premeditated escalation of that colonial project, and what its perpetrators call now the final solution. In spring last year, I wrote a reasonable opinion article as editor-in-chief of the City Times, calling for informed pushback by administrators when efforts to conflate criticisms of Zionism with the Jewish religion arise. That article had almost exclusively Jewish sources in it. Several district bodies also have passed free speech resolutions defending this specific statement of freedom to the sea. I encourage you all to abide by these reasonable shared governance guidelines and push back in an informed manner next time they try and silence us. As they've said before, the reason this one phrase is so important and why we're all here is because capitulation to the cynical misinterpretation of the statement co-opts the very narrative by which Palestinians can call for their own liberation. Because calling for freedom from the crimes of a single government is not the same as wishing harm to a broader religious and ethnic group. It's not a reasonable position if certain folks insert themselves into a conversation and choose to ideologically align themselves with those carrying out the crimes. It's not reasonable. To be clear, the Palestinian slogan has long been established as being a demand for democratic coexistence between Jewish and Muslims, a demand that the rest of the reasonable world acknowledges now. Palestinians have had everything taken from them, including the mere right to call for their own liberation under the boot of our government. As long as Palestinians draw breath and continue to lead this movement, we'll never stop calling for their freedom. Palestinians will be free from apartheid. Palestinians will be free from ethnic cleansing. Palestinians will be free from genocide, and Palestinians will be free from the river to the sea. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all. My name is Samar Ismail, and I am a community organizer at the Council on American Islamic Relations, the nation's largest Muslim civil rights group. And being here today, watching you as an institution that holds so much power and props yourself on the pinnacle of teaching these future leaders censoring free speech breaks my heart. Because the Supreme Court has said that political expression is the highest rung in the hierarchy of the First Amendment. And to see an institution like San Diego City College, or actually the community college district as a whole, censor this free speech is heartbreaking. Your students are the future leaders. Your students will be attending these massive 4 years, and here in the state of California, from UCLA to UC San Diego to Berkeley, have played pivotal roles in social movements, changing the world as we know it today. Had students not protested, they wouldn't have had ethnic studies curriculums. Had they not protested, we wouldn't have Chicano studies. Students are protesting right now, and instead of encouraging them, like we do in how we teach about the past generations, you are actively censoring them. Palestinians have a right to free speech, and as a Palestinian myself, I have a right to say, stop the killing of my family members. Stop this blind nonsense of genocide, to be able to watch that every single day. And many of the people in this room have been watching this for 2 years straight and telling them you can't talk about it, you can't have this phrase, you can't talk about it in your classrooms, to teach and prevent us from repeating these mistakes is not okay. To interpret a call that they have explicitly told you what it means, to say, from the river to the sea, I call for freedom, freedom from an illegal apartheid state. When we, you guys, are part of this institution, you can see international law. You could see the cases being put forth by the International Court of Justice and the criminal courts and the charges being levied against Israel. And to say, no, that's not happening is a slap in the face. Like, We cannot turn a blind eye to what is happening on the global stage. We all will encounter this. And to know that today it's Palestine that the institutions do not agree with. What is it tomorrow? Oh, you can't speak up against the world war that we're about to enter because it doesn't agree with our agenda. So you can't talk about it. This is a very dangerous precedent that you are setting. If you won't accept it for yourself to censor, you should not accept it for the Palestinians. And no matter how hard you try to cut the flowers, you cannot keep the spring from coming. These students will continue to persist. And from the sea to the river, Palestine will live forever.
Our next speaker is Tanya Mustafa. After her are Serena, Dylan, Danny Irozo, and Josh Weibel. There are 14 minutes left.
Hi, my name is Tanya Mustafa and I teach at City College. Thank you for giving us the space to speak here. And just to remind everyone here that the academic freedom and free speech are core district values, yet faculty are increasingly pressured to avoid certain topics, especially when it comes to Palestine. This pressure creates a chilling effect that doesn't just silence individual professors, but weakens the integrity of our entire academic environment. I've had students thank me in private, by email or after class, for discussing Palestine or sharing the long overlooked contributions of Muslims to science, medicine, and philosophy. Their quiet gratitude speaks volume. It suggests that they don't feel safe expressing these views openly in front of their peers. To put this in context, in order to create more inclusive classroom, I assign an icebreaker where students share something meaningful about their identity, culture, or personal story. I encourage curiosity and dialogue. When it's my turn, I speak openly about my own commitment to social justice, including my advocacy for the Palestinian cause. I also share the deep intellectual legacy of the Muslim world, contributions made centuries before the European scientific revolution, but rarely acknowledged and rarely known by students. These conversations aren't political stunts. They are part of a truthful, inclusive education. And yet, I sometimes find myself wondering, should I be afraid that this will be seen as promoting violence? The implication itself is offensive. Raising awareness about Palestine or Muslim history should never be treated as dangerous. Free speech must apply equally to all. Singling out Palestinian voices is not only discriminatory, it's unconstitutional. Faculty must be free to teach, support, and speak without fear of retaliation. I urge the administration, please, to reconsider its stand on the message that wrongly portrays phrases like "from the river to the sea" as violation of civility or non-discrimination policies. Thank you.
Good afternoon, comunidad and members of the board. My name is Serena Kuza, co-chair of Students for Justice in Palestine at San Diego City College. And I'm here today as a student alongside others in our community who are scared, but choosing to speak up. We speak today not just for ourselves, but for those who could not be here due to fear, surveillance, or legal risk. We are here today not as a form of disrespect, but to express the urgency in which this board must act. We as students and activists of SJP have taken the time to meet with district and legal counsel. We have listened, we have shown up, and yet we have been given the same rhetoric time and time again. Rhetoric that does not address the real harm being done to Palestinian students, Muslim students, and allies for justice on this campus. Students have long led the way in social justice movements, civil rights, anti-apartheid, indigenous sovereignty, and now Palestinian liberation. That tradition of moral clarity continues right here, right now. Both the Academic Senate and the Associated Student Government passed a divestment resolution, an expression of our community's values and collective conscience. And yet, in response, we've seen the same pattern. Palestinian solidarity is being framed as violent, threatening, or extremist. That's not only false, it's dangerous. It has created a climate of fear and a chilling effect on our free speech. Faculty are intimidated and silenced, students are afraid, and we are terrified of what might happen next if Zionist voices continue to be prioritized at the expense of Palestinian lives, stories, and speech. And if we are being told implicitly and sometimes explicitly that our grief, our anger, and our hope for Palestinian freedom are not welcome here, our district cannot continue to tell us things like, "You belong here." Let me be clear. Being pro-Palestinian is not anti-anyone. It's about liberation, about self-determination, and about resisting ongoing violence and displacement. The claim that phrases like "from the river to the sea" are inherently violent is a political interpretation. It is not a fact. And if we accept that, then what happens next? Where does it end? If the district continues down this path, you are setting precedent. If you stay silent now, what's to stop future resistance or what's to stop future administrations from banning any discussion of Zionism, resistance, or colonialism? The time to act is not after lawsuits or after rulings, it is now. If you don't want to see a future where administrators ban discussions about Zionism or label resistance movements as hate speech, you must act now. Before courts or state agencies define these terms for us, we are asking the board to publicly retract the current harmful interpretation of "from the river to the sea" and other Palestinian solidarity phrases. These are expressions of survival, of cultural identity, and of hope. Just like "Free Palestine," "Viva Mexico," "Black Lives Matter," and "Power to the People." Lastly, we urge you, do not accept the false narrative that anti-Zionism is inherently anti-Semitic. Many Jewish students and scholars reject this conflation. There is room for critique. There is room for solidarity, but only if we refuse to let fear define the boundaries of our free speech. Be the change you wish to see in tandem with your own higher ups and whatever unions and administrations that you may be representative of. Protect free expression, stand with your students, and do not wait for permission to do what is morally right. Do the right thing. Thank you.
There are just over 7.5 minutes left.
Good afternoon, members of the board, Chancellor. Thanks for having us here. My name is Daniel Rozzo. I'm a veteran and I'm also a student at City College. I'm pursuing a degree in social work. And I'm here today to talk about the district's blatant violation of our free speech. Banning the phrase "from the river to the sea" is censorship, plain and simple. You justify it by using the Zionist talking point that it's a call for the destruction of Israel. That is not what we are demanding. The horrible irony is that you make this argument while Israel is literally destroying all of Gaza, colonizing the West Bank, and committing a genocide against all Palestinians. Again, "from the river to the sea" is not hate speech. It's a call for freedom, equality, and dignity for the Palestinian people. By banning it, the district is being Islamophobic and it isn't protecting students. All you are doing is protecting violence from criticism. We are not the oppressors. We've peacefully protested and advocated for divestment. Meanwhile, at City College, we've had vandals and thieves rip down protest signs. At Mesa, someone broke into a locked classroom and tear down a Free Palestine banner. We've been told to place messages of resistance and support only on inward-facing walls and windows, effectively hiding our voices. That is not what free expression looks like. And I didn't swear my oath to the Constitution and defend your rights so that I can have mine stripped away from me by the people in this room. Schools, especially in higher education, should be places where students learn to challenge injustice, not where they are punished for speaking out against it. Silencing voices for Palestinian liberation today sets a dangerous precedent for silencing other voices tomorrow. I urge this board to respect our constitutional rights, stop silencing students and staff, issue a formal apology for your censorship, and to recognize that when we call for justice in Palestine, from the river to the sea, we are calling for the end of a genocide, not the start of one.
Hi, my name is Dylan Wells. I'm a lecturer at City College, Grossmont, and USD, and I'm also new to the City Academic Senate. Thank you for having me here today. As an educator, I am appalled at the racism that we expect our Palestinian, Arab, and Muslim students to sit silently with, as they are terrified of violence and they don't even want to participate in classes for fear of backlash. As administrators suggest that the hypothetical loss of Jewish life is somehow more disturbing than the actual ongoing murder of hundreds of thousands of innocent Palestinians. You pay me to teach rhetoric studies. So I am stunned that anyone could suggest that from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, can be misunderstood as an incitement to Jewish genocide. This is anti-intellectual, it's frankly childish, and it's a blatant violation of academic freedom. Our students have been opening their phones every day for 2 years, seeing horrific images from the front lines of this genocide. They want and they deserve professors who can help them make sense of what they are seeing. Palestinian, Arab, and Muslim students have been shot, pepper sprayed, beat up, arrested at campuses all across America, while exercising their fundamental rights. So let's support these students rather than stigmatize them when they need us the most. Finally, my mother taught me the Jews do not solve our problems by killing children. The Zionist entity does not represent me or my mother. Thank you.
Good afternoon to the board and to all of the community members here today. I'm also a community member and a former student at the San Diego College District. I support the right of SDCC students and faculty to free speech and constitutionally protected political expression. Free speech must apply equally to all. Singling out Palestinian voices is a discriminatory act that reinforces racist stereotypes that say that Arabs and Muslims are inherently threatening, and is a dangerous step towards silencing free speech on campuses and beyond in this country. Both mainstream parties of the federal government have ignored widespread calls to stop funding the Israeli state's ongoing genocide. They've also ignored calls to stop the ICE terror in our communities. This means that free speech rights and political advocacy must be affirmed and protected, especially by the educational institution like yours, whose district identifies the freedom of expression and academic freedom as essential. The folks who are here tonight in support of this letter know that the phrase in question is a call for Palestinian self-determination and for justice. It is also protected speech. Any interpretation otherwise is viewpoint discrimination. Arab, Muslim, anti-Zionist, Jewish, Palestinian, and pro-Palestinian students' voices must not be erased. Thank you.
There are 2.5 minutes left. Our next speaker is City College student.
Hello, I'm a student at City College, and right now I would just like to redirect some of the focus to the fact that while we are here speaking, there are 2.2 million people that are starving in the end stages of a famine in Gaza right now. Calling for the liberation of the Palestinian people is being labeled as a call for violence. Meanwhile, the Palestinian people are being starved, tortured, and slaughtered in a US-backed genocide as we speak. I would also like to address the question of censorship. It is definitely happening. I'm privy to many emails that have been sent, including the one that was sent publicly to the student body that said from the river to the sea could be interpreted as a call for violence. We were told that due to this statement, the statement from the river to the sea would need to be removed from banners that were displayed at City College. And it was removed from said banner. And then the only violence that was incited was that someone came onto City College campuses and stole this banner from us. And I'm curious why calling for the end of a genocide is controversial. I'm curious why this angers people. We need to end the bombing. We need to end the starvation. We need to end the genocide. All freedom and liberation to the Palestinian people. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thank you.
Speaker is Omar Abusham.
Might not have heard you.
Omar Abusham. And you have 1 minute.
Good evening, board members. My name is Umar Usham. I serve as the Programs and Outreach Coordinator at CARE San Diego, the Council on American Islamic Relations. And I'm here today to address a topic that's become deeply, deeply concerning and disturbing to us about the district's censorship of Palestinian speech and expression, student artwork in solidarity with Palestine, standing against a genocide, and saying from the river to the sea has been labeled as unacceptable and a call to the extermination of Jews. This is not what that stands for. This is a clear case of discrimination. Palestinian voices are being silenced, while other political expressions remain protected. Redefining from the river to the sea as hate speech erases Arab and Muslim voices and undermines both academic freedom and free expression. Your own stated values include freedom of expression, equity, and civic engagement. But when students and faculty face intimidation for expressing solidarity with Palestine, those values are not being upheld, and these students are being silenced.
Time is up.
Thank you.
Public comment.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for providing your public comment. We're going to move on with our agenda. The next item is call for presentations, if any, by exclusive agents representing employees. Do we have anyone? No. Okay. Any public response to initial proposal of employee organizations? None. Okay, so we go into our reports. Chancellor?
Quickly, as I see people are starting to leave, just want to thank everyone who came out today to offer public comment. Pursuing equity, inclusion, belonging in a diverse society is complicated work. It requires us to understand the lived experience, values, and perspectives of all of our community members. Your voices matter, your concerns are important, and we have seen and heard you today. Thank you. All right, I have several items in this. I'm going to try to move through it quickly, but a lot is happening on the legislative front. First, the most significant thing, yesterday we were notified by the U.S. Department of Education they would be discontinuing discretionary funding in all 7, as they're called in the legislation, minority serving institution programs authorized in Title III of the Higher Education Act. While the notice states the department will continue dispersing mandatory funds authorized by Congress in 5 programs, the lawsuit that's been filed by the state of Tennessee and Students for Fair Admissions challenging the legality of Hispanic serving institution grant programs could impact these programs as well. The Annie Peasy grant, or Asian American, Native American, Pacific Islander serving institution grant at City College, and the HSI STEM Exedo grant at Miramar College are discretionary grant funds impacted by this decision. While the notice did not include much detail, we assume at this time we will not receive the 25-26 or 26-27 funds in those grants, which totals nearly $2 million. The mandatory Annie Peasy and HSI grant programs at City College and Mesa College end at the end of the current fiscal year, so we do anticipate we'll receive those funds. The assertion that MSI programs are discriminatory is false. While the programs explicitly call out the historical discrimination and present exclusion of specific race and ethnic communities in higher education, the programs and services our colleges provide are inclusive and benefit all students. Acknowledging and directly addressing America's history of discrimination, oppression, exploitation, and marginalization based on skin color, race, ethnicity, national origin, gender identity and expression, sexual orientation, religion, ability status, and other characteristics may not be comfortable for many, but it is essential. And our history is a call to action. We have the ability to imagine and create a future where belonging and inclusion are the defining characteristics of our society, and we will continue that work. Moving to state matters, the Board of Governors will be presented with the Chancellor's Office budget requests for the 26-27 state budget at its meeting next week. Earlier this year, our coordinator at the Undocumented Resource Center at City College, Magali Flores, who also serves as the co-lead of the Region 10 Dreamer Resource Liaisons Group, brought forward a proposal to increase Dreamer Liaison support funds by $15 million ongoing to ensure districts had adequate resources to hire full-time staff and expand resources for our immigrant communities. I'm happy to share that our district sponsored that request, and it is included in the Chancellor's Office proposal to the state. So I want to thank Magali and also Dean Lillian Garcia for their support and leadership on that. Want to update the board on the status of several Assembly bills and Senate bills that we passed resolutions to support. Assembly Bill 323 that would allow the Strong Workforce Program to expand fund usage for paid internships has passed and will go to the governor's desk. We expect the governor will approve that and look forward to be able to use that expanded flexibility. Assembly Bill 335, which would have established a grant program in the state's Black Serving Institution designation program, was held in the Assembly Appropriations Committee. We expect to see another effort to fund the BSI program next year. Assembly Bill 648, which would exempt community college districts that are doing affordable student and employee housing programs from local zoning regulations, has been passed and is headed to the governor's desk. The bill had bipartisan support throughout the Assembly and Senate. Just a few Republican members voted no. We're hopeful the governor is going to sign that legislation, which will be very important for our future affordable housing developments. Assembly Bill 695, which will allow community college students subject to immigration enforcement to continue paying resident enrollment fees, has been amended by the Senate, ordered to a third reading, which I believe happened today, though I don't know the outcome, but all indications are that bill will pass. It does sunset in its current version on January 1, 2030. Assembly Bill 766 from Assemblymember Sharp Collins here in San Diego would require state agencies to develop and implement strategic plans to ensure equitable access and services and to address identified disparities in state-run programs. Has been approved by the Senate. It'll go back to the Assembly for a final concurrence vote, which we expect will happen tomorrow. That bill has been passed on strict party lines. We do expect it will be approved by the governor. Assembly Bill 1035, which would have expanded the California College Grant Program, Promise Grant Program to include baccalaureate programs, was held in the Assembly Appropriations Committee again this year. It also failed last year, unfortunately. Assembly Bill 1400, which would authorize a pilot baccalaureate degree in nursing program, has been amended in the Senate. It was initially proposed for 15 colleges in the initial pilot. That's been amended down to 10. It's also put an additional emphasis on ensuring one of those pilot programs would be in the Inland Empire. It'll be headed back to the committee for a concurrence vote on those amendments, which we fully expect it will pass, and then go to the governor. As you'll recall, the governor vetoed similar bills last year. That's been the focus of our advocacy, and I would call it cautious optimism. There's a chance he could approve it this year. Assembly Bill 1433, which Assemblymember Sharp Collins sponsored on behalf of our district to establish a definition for non-credit colleges and education centers, was held in Assembly Appropriations. So we'll be working with Assemblymember Sharp Collins on a revised version of that bill and seeing it successful next year. A couple final updates. The legislation that we co-sponsored or co-endorsed with San Diego Unified, Assembly Bill 629, which would increase the dollar threshold around inventory requirements from $500 to $1,500, was approved back in July, has been signed into law by the governor. Assembly Bill 1224, which would reinstate COVID-era provisions that doubled the amount of time a substitute teacher could stay in one classroom from 30 to 60 days, that provides much needed staffing flexibilities where they have shortages, has been passed by the Assembly and Senate and will be forwarded to the governor. It's been nearly unanimous votes throughout the process, so there's hope the governor will sign it. Finally, Senate Bill 438, which would reduce the minimum attendance time for students enrolled in CCAP courses from 240 to 180 minutes. That would match the requirement for early college and middle college high school attendance. Was held in the Senate Appropriations Committee, so it did not pass through. I expect we'll see that come back. That ends my report.
Thank you, Chancellor. Now we move on to the report of the trustees, starting with Student Trustee Jair Melendez.
Thank you, President. For San Diego City College, held a student organization conference to support students seeking to start an organization on campus. For San Diego Mesa College, hosted a successful Black student success fairs to welcome back and connect a student to resources. For San Diego Miramar College, offered a welcome back picture on September 9 to support with the networking and finding community for LGBTQIA students. For San Diego College of Continuing Education, held an ASCCE retreat to host a space for leadership training for current College of Continuing Education students. Be Well CCE opened our mental health center on September 3rd. The associated student will be hosting Constitution Day activity at the Mid-City and Cesar Campos Chavez campuses. That concludes my report.
Thank you, student trustee. Trustee Senior.
Yes, the only thing I want to mention is that I went to a wonderful event Saturday evening put on by Pillars of the Community, our Professor Paul Khalid. Alexander is in charge of that organization, and they brought in, they were honoring public defenders, the people who work on behalf of the poorest people in our community to defend them in court. And the main speaker was Michelle Alexander, who wrote a book on the new Jim Crow, which talked about how prisons are used to enslave people in various ways. And obviously it's expanding right now with INS, with all the prisons that are being proposed. So it was a very moving event. One of the things that she said really resonated on me because it supports how I see the world. And that is that I believe we were put on this earth to do God's work on earth. And I think working for justice and working for the poorest is so important.
Thank you, Trustee Senior, for sharing that. Before I go on, there are some seats available up in the front for those of you that are in the back if you want to sit down and take a break. Trustee Jamison.
I have no report at this time.
Thank you. Trustee Milgram.
Good evening, everyone. Before I make a quick statement about the public comment today, I want to acknowledge something really fun and interesting that I'm going to be participating in at Mesa College. They're have a Pride Scholarship Program, and as part of that program, they're been recruiting people to be mentors for the students that are in that program. And I am happy to say that our first meeting, training session, is coming up. So I just want to shout out to all the folks at the Pride Center at Mesa College and to the support from the Vice President Maxey and President Hands for the LGBTQ plus community at Mesa College. It's a model for the entire district to follow. Okay, I'm going to try to make this short, but I can't not say something. Speaking out for social justice, for justice of any kind from one community, invariably causes other communities to feel discomfort. That is not a reason for not speaking out, and it's not a reason for not allowing people to speak out. In the current environment, speaking and standing up for human rights is not an option, it's a necessity. And I do want to emphasize that one of the best ways to stand up for human rights in this country is to register to vote and to vote. Every time someone who supports social justice and progressive values stays home from any election out of frustration that the election hasn't gone their way in previous times, is doing exactly what the folks that they do. It does exactly what our, I don't know what the word is, the opposition wants us to do. We cannot abrogate our right to vote. I was part of the movement to allow 18-year-olds to vote. We had a constitutional amendment. And since I got the right to vote as a result of that, when I was 18, and I'm not 18 anymore, I have not missed a single election, not local elections, not state elections, and I've never left any item on a ballot blank. I always do the work to find out, and that's one of the things that we're going to do, and the board will be supporting Constitution Day coming up, which I think is a great opportunity for us to talk about all the way the Constitution is being violated day to day. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Trustee Milgram. Trustee Magana.
I also vote all the time. I wanted to give a shout out to City College's Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander Connection Center. I attended their grand opening last week, and I wanted to, like I said, give a shout out to all the staff, all the faculty, all the administrators that put that connection center together. And I look forward to hearing about all the successes and all of the students that are being served. And hopefully it won't be impacted by the cuts from the feds.
Thank you, Trustee Magana. And I have just two brief comments. I attended earlier this week the quarterly meeting of the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. It was my second meeting, and I just want to thank everyone in the district that is working really hard on Measure HH. I see you back there, and thank the members of the committee for their work, the work that they're doing. And if you have an opportunity to go online, there are many exciting things happening around our bond. And then the second thing is, earlier in the week too, I was able to attend a town hall meeting put together by an organization called Swing Left. And I was able to hear from elected officials Shanilo Rivera and Monica Montgomery on, speaking up and staying, together, building community, especially in this very difficult times. I think it was my first town hall meeting, and it was nice to be in a space with like-minded people who are committed, to ensure that we protect each other and not only resist, but take action to protect those in our communities. And that's the end of my report. Chancellor?
Yeah, I'll keep this quick. I'm looking forward to getting out to the colleges for fall forum starting next week. I'll be at Miramar College and then at City College later in the month, at the College of Continuing Education, Mesa College, and the district office. I'll be sharing updates on our budget, bond projects, collective bargaining, legislative advocacy, our fundraising campaign, and reserving as much time as possible for open discussion. We'll also have our second district-wide town hall later in this fall. Details on the location, the date, the time, and the topics will be shared soon, so look for that. And then next month, we'll start our fall campus meetings. Excited to go to City College in October, then Mesa College in November, seeing the presentations on all the great work that's being done at our colleges. This ends my report.
Thank you. We're gonna move into section 10. We don't have any any items on board policies. Chancellor, item 1001.
Item 1001 is the board's opportunity to submit its votes for representatives on the ACCT Congress. We have 3 votes, and so we've reviewed all of the candidates, one of whom comes from our community college system that we absolutely support, and then 2 others who've done great work with ACCT. So we need the board's approval so that our attending members can vote, submit their votes at the conference in October.
Thank you. Colleagues, there are 2 actions that we ought to take. The first one is to nominate the 3 voting delegates. And there's 3 of us that are going to be attending, Trustees Magana, Trustees Senior, and myself. So we're going to be the nominees. So before we have a discussion about that, I have a motion and a second on that item.
So moved. Second.
Moved by trustee Magana, second by trustee Senior. Any discussion? Okay. No discussion. Okay, so before the vote, does the student trustee have anything to add, and how do you vote?
No, at this time, Board President, my vote is aye.
Okay, thank you. Colleagues, please vote. Okay, the item passes unanimously. Now, the second action on this item is to nominate members of the ACCT Board of Directors and Diversity Committee. The recommended slate is for Regional Director recommendation. There's one candidate. I've met her, Nan Gomez Heitzberg. I think that's how you say her last name. Heitzberg, from Kern Community College District. And there are three candidates for Director at Large. The recommendation is for Andrea Hoffman from LA Community College District. Here in California, Robert Proctor from Lansing Community College. And then Jermaine Reed from Metropolitan Community College. So before we have a discussion, do I have a motion and a second on this item to nominate those candidates?
So moved. Second.
Moved by trustee Magana, second by trustee Senior. Any discussion on this item? None. Okay. Student trustee, before we vote, do you have anything to add, and how do you vote?
No, at this time, Board President, my vote is aye.
Thank you, trustee. Please vote, colleagues.
I must have voted at a time.
Okay, yes, you did. The item passes unanimously. Thank you. Item 1002.
I'd like to recommend the board consider taking items 1002, 1003, 1004, and 1005 all as a single item. Given the number of attacks on programs that serve specific or that designed to correct historical inequities for specific groups, and the fact that we may not even have some of these recognition events going forward in the future, the board expressed this desire to do resolutions each month, recognizing different events, different commemorations. And so we have a resolution recognizing September 15th to October 15th as National Hispanic Heritage Month, especially important given the threats to the HSI program. Consideration adoption of a resolution recognizing October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month, as recognizing October as Filipino American History Month, and recognizing October as National Disability Employment Awareness Month. So all of these resolutions recommit our district's commitment to supporting all of our students, and particularly acknowledging some of the difficult histories of our country. So I'd recommend the board approve these resolutions.
Thank you, Chancellor. So there are, is it four? 1, 2, 3, 4 resolutions, right? On the table. So before we have a discussion on this item, may I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
trustee Jimison, second by trustee Senior. Anyone would like to say anything about it? Discussion? No? Okay, seeing none, before we vote, student trustee, do you have anything to add, and how do you vote?
Yes, Board President. With respect to comment 10.02, as a pro-Hispanic, I deeply appreciate the adoption of the dignity and the contribution of the Hispanic community are often challenging or misunderstood. This act of recognition affirms our value, our resilience, and our rightful place in the fabric of this nation. Thank you for standing with us and celebrating the richness we bring to America's story. And my vote is aye.
Thank you. Gracias. Muy bien. Please, colleagues, vote. Okay, these items pass unanimously. Chancellor, item 1006.
Yeah, last month, Board President Arroyo brought consideration to the board of adopting a resolution in support of an ordinance that City Council member Shani La Rivera has introduced around due process and safety that would ensure that no City of San Diego facilities, programs, or partnerships are used to facilitate discrimination, violation of constitutional rights, or unauthorized law enforcement against our vulnerable communities. We've drafted a resolution of support that can be presented to the City Council, showing that our board supports them in adopting this resolution. Encourage the board to approve the resolution.
Thank you, Chancellor. Before we have a discussion, may I have a motion and a second on this item?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
motion by trustee Senior, second by trustee Milgram. Do I have any discussion on this item?
Yes, but President, as a student trustee from the immigrant community, it is important for our undeserved student attending colleges in the San Diego Community College District to feel safe and be comfortable in going to classes. I believe that a district like ours should take the utmost priority of protecting our students in time of this heavy political conflict where anything is possible. Given the recent ruling of the United States Supreme Court, there lies many opportunities for unlawful detention and discrimination for our vulnerable communities. Therefore, I am in full support of the City of San Diego proposed due process and safety ordinance. My vote is aye.
Thank you. Thank you very much, trustee. Anybody else? No? So I want to say thank you, Chancellor, and all those that worked on this resolution, and thank you to the board for supporting this, which, I mean, it's a reflection of the commitment of our district. So can I? No, we've got to vote. We have a motion and a second, right? Please vote. I wanted to motion it. All right. Item 1201.
This is a requirement that we designate September 17th, 2025 as Constitution Day at San Diego City College, Mesa College, Miramar College, and the College of Continuing Education. An opportunity to do educational activities across the colleges around the Constitution in alignment with the comments made by Trustee Milgram earlier. So I'd encourage the board to approve this item.
Thank you, Chancellor. I have a motion and a second on this item.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by trustee Milgram, second by trustee Magana. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, trustee Jair, do you have anything to add and how do you vote?
No, at this time, but President, my vote is aye.
Thank you. Members, please vote. Okay, the item passes unanimously. Item 1301.
The board needs to open a public hearing. Under state law, the public has a right to make comments to the board before they are presented and then consider approval of our budget. So you need to open the public hearing, see if we have any comment, after which we can close the public hearing and then present the budget for the board's approval.
Thank you. A public hearing is now called to order for item 1301 regarding the adoption of the 2025-2026 budget. Is there anyone who would like to comment? Is there anyone who would like to comment? Is there anyone who would like to comment? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, the public hearing is now closed. Item 1302.
Yeah, so our 2025-2026 adopted budget is here for the board's consideration. I want to thank the staff in the Finance and Business Services Division that did a ton of hard work to put this together, the staff at each of the colleges that helped inform that work, our budget committee, our district governance council, everyone who involved in it. It takes many, many people to bring this to you. Also just very quickly want to say that in a time of a lot of economic uncertainty and perhaps reasons for doubt or concern, our district is a very healthy position budget-wise. I'm very appreciative of all the work that's gone into making that possible. With that, I'll turn it over to Vice Chancellor Troy to present high-level information in the budget for the board's consideration.
Thank you, Chancellor Smith, trustees. Good evening. Before we get started, I want to echo the Chancellor's comments that it does take a lot of work, a lot of people who put this budget together, both at the college fiscal staff and the finance and business services in my area. And I do want to particularly call out Araceli Ariola Bustamante, who's a manager over the budget area, and Associate Vice Chancellor Nancy Lane, who do a particular amount of great work to put this product together for you tonight. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Oops. First things first, just a little bit of comment on the budget timeline and processes. Community college districts are very much creatures of the state. We have to follow the state timelines. So I think, as you know, in January of each year, the governor introduces his or her own budget proposal. We take the information and proposals from that to craft an early spring preliminary budget where we can see what impact, potential impact that proposal would have on our district budget. In the middle of May, the governor does a very significant update to the revenues and expenditures and sometimes very different proposals based on that updated information. We use that information to build our June tentative budget, which we need to have passed by July 1, so we have authority to expend funds for the new year. And this board did pass that tentative budget in June. Of course, by late June, the state passes a final budget, which can have very different figures in it. We take that information, craft it into an adopted budget, and of course, we also are able to close out the prior fiscal year and give you updated information on our ending balances, et cetera. So this is a much more complete budget product than the tentative budget we pass in June. Just to give you a little bit of context for the state budget conditions, you might remember back in 22-23, the state had such a large surplus, they were looking for new ideas to fund us, but they couldn't come up with enough ideas hardly to do that. We do have very volatile revenues, and a couple of years later, the state found itself back into a deficit situation with the decline in revenues and increased costs that the state faces for Medi-Cal and some other areas. So they needed to solve this year about a $12 billion deficit, and they do foresee that those deficits are going to be persistent over the next few years. Just note that there's a lot of uncertainty in the economic climate right now with the threats and the imposed tariffs, with inflation creeping back up, consumer confidence is dwindling, and the state may be forced to fund things such as wildfires if the federal government is no longer going to provide resources for those kinds of emergencies. So there's a lot on the plate of the legislature as they put their budget together. This is a chart for showing you the totals for Proposition 98 over the past 3 years. Proposition 98 is the minimum guarantee by which we fund K-14 education in the state. Note, if you go back 2 years ago, we were a little over $98 billion. It shot way up to just under 120 last year, and then it's down again this year, under $115 billion. So while we have a pretty good budget for community colleges, we escaped a lot of the cuts that our UC and CSU did and other areas of government did. We were able to escape that because the state deferred money. So in other words, they fully fund our program, but part of the checkbook comes in the subsequent fiscal year. So we need sufficient cash to make sure we can cover those expenses over the fiscal year. So I'm glad to say we can do that. Some more information about Proposition 98, because this was a very interesting year for that. You may be aware of what they call the Proposition 98 split, where community colleges are supposed to get 11% of the Prop 98 minimum guarantee. Just note that guarantee can and often is manipulated to get to that total. And the state was in a tough situation this year, of course, as I noted earlier. And one of the things the governor proposed was to manipulate the split by counting costs for transitional kindergarten outside of the split. So move all those funds aside, then calculate the 11% after we did that, depriving community colleges of our share of those funds for 3 years. So not only would have been for this year, but for the prior 2 years as well. Our district, in cooperation with other community college partners, advocated very, very strongly against that. And we were able to achieve partial success on that. So the state did not do that manipulation of the guarantee retroactively. They're doing it for 25-26, but they reversed that governor's proposal for the prior 2 years. And that had the impact of putting $260 million of one-time funds back into community college budgets. So that was very valuable advocacy. One of the big proposals that came out of that restoration of funds was an additional $100 million for the 24-25 year to fund what was unfunded FTS in the system. And our district benefited greatly from that, nearly $5 million of funds that we didn't expect. So that's very good news for us. And that's ongoing money. Some highlights for the statewide community college budget. Number one, as I reiterated earlier, there's no cuts to core services. So we did get some growth funding. We did get some COLA. There's a 2.3% COLA. In addition to the $100 million I mentioned earlier to fund growth in the prior year, there's an additional roughly $40 million for growth in this 25-26 year. One other item of note is just that because of the fires in LA, there's probably some delays and uncertainty in terms of what the property tax amounts will be funded for this year. So the state is aware of that. They put in some plugs to cover that, but just know that that's a bit of uncertainty that's standing out there right now. Some one-time funds we received, again, largely because of that advocacy on the split. There's $60 million one-time provided to establish a student support block grant. That is intended in part to address the issue that Chancellor Smith mentioned earlier, where the feds cut our ANAPC grant. The state was aware that some of these funds were under threat from the federal administration. So that was persuasive to them to provide some resources for districts to help defray some of those cuts, at least in the short term. We don't have allocations on that yet. That should come out later this month, but we would expect to receive at least $2 million out of that grant. There's also $20 million one time to support emergency financial assistance to students. Again, we haven't received those funds yet. The state is working on those allocations. And there's also some more one-time money to support Dreamer resource liaisons. Again, very important this year, given the federal hostility toward that vulnerable population. There are some new and expanded initiatives in here, and I'll only spend a little bit of time on this item for time's sake. Note that at the top there, we talk about technology and data systems. The Chancellor's Office received $12 million one time for support of a common cloud data platform, and about $6.6 million to work on e-transcript throughout the system. Note that in January, they were proposed to receive over $330 million for those initiatives. And so that's money that would have gone to State Chancellor's Office, technology programs, and not to support our students when we have needs on our campuses for this. So there was quite a bit of advocacy to reverse that in the final budget. And again, we were heard on that. We were successful. Getting to some of the district-specific issues right now. So this is the final student-centered funding formula, which is our general purpose funding calculation for the 24-25 year. Shouldn't call it final. We won't know our final number until February of the next year. But I did want to show you some of the components of that. So we have a basic allocation, which is money based on our school sites, our colleges, and our approved centers. We get the largest chunk of that is an FTS allocation based on our number of our students. We receive a supplemental allocation, which is designed to address needs of disadvantaged students. And of course, the success allocation, which is based on several factors, including certificates, transfer degrees, associate degrees, et cetera. One thing I'll point out before I get to the total there is I note that we know that FTS is important, and growing our FTS is key to growing our revenues. There are other aspects to that formula that are worth paying attention to as well. So we underperform on both the supplemental allocation and the success allocation. So we're roughly 3.6% of the state's FTS. We only receive about 2.7% of the supplemental and or the success allocation funds. If we got the average amount for that, if we got the proportionate amount, we'd have another $27 million. So I think there's some work we can do on the at the district to improve our standing there. So note that does sum to over $330 million. Prior to getting that $100 million at the end, because of the advocacy for the shift, we were down around $325 million. So that was a big change in the final budget. This is just another way to cut that information. I do like to show you the funding sources used to fund our general purpose funding. Note that what the state does is they calculate how much they owe us. So that's the $330 million at the bottom. They first offset that with the amount of local property tax we get, then by the student enrollment fees we get, and then the state resources come in, the education protection account and the state general fund fills in the remainder. So if they are short on some of those estimates through the year, so let's say there's less property tax than they estimate, we have a hole in our budget unless the state takes action to appropriate more money to fill that. So we do work with a lot of uncertainty as we operate, and that's a good reason for us to have strong, healthy ending balances. Okay, now we'll talk about the general fund unrestricted aspect of our budget. Firstly, just to check on our ending balance for the 24-25 year for GFU. We ended with a surplus of about $7.5 million. So that shows a lot of stability and good planning, I think. Also a little bit of luck. Some of that does depend on the state not having a deficit for us and for our performance of our monies in the county treasury investment pool. So some things are in our control, some things not so much. Showing you a little bit of history on our GFU ending balances. If you go back to 21-22, you see we were down about 12%. If you go back to earlier years, we were, of course, even lower than that. But note that 12% is below what is now the Chancellor's Office suggested minimum guidance of having at least 2 months of expenditures on hand in reserve. And that's also our new, relatively new board policy as well. We did show improvement over this time frame, as you can see, and we ended last year with close to 26%. And again, this is a good time to end with those balances, given all the turmoil and with the federal government and the state economic uncertainty as well. Some planning items. Obviously, a lot of our planning for the fiscal year involves our level of FTS. As you can see, our targets for this year are over 39,000. In terms of the early going, it looks like that we are appear to be on track to meet our targets. So things are looking good on that score. Other planning factors, as I mentioned earlier, the state did provide us with a state COLA of about 2.3%. And I just wanted to show you 3-year notes on that to show you how unpredictable and inconsistent those COLAs can be. A couple of years ago, we got the largest COLA I've ever seen in my time in state government, over 8%. Last year, a minuscule 1.07. 2.3% is probably roughly average over time. But as you can see, that's a pretty unpredictable number. Some other planning factors, the PERS and STIRS contributions that the district makes. So for those of you who don't know, we do have to pay effectively a tax on top of salary for our employees. So for a PERS employee for 25-26, for every dollar in salary we pay them, we have to pay an additional 26.81% to shore up the PERS fund, and it's 19.1% for STIRS employees. So that's a big increase over where we were back in the early 2000s when the state started to up those factors. It's certainly, it's been consistent for a couple of years now, as you can see, but it's certainly a lot of money. Okay, now we're getting into some other aspects of our GFU for this year. This is what we anticipate for our SCIF funding, our Student Center Funding Formula. As you can see in the bottom, we expect to be in what we call stability this year, and we will earn about $337.7 million out of that. So what stability is that that you're funded on the greater of your current year calculation or your prior year calculation with this year's COLA. So the 337 that we're estimating to get is based on last year's 330 million I showed you earlier with the 2.3% COLA. That gets us up to 337. If you go move a couple of numbers up, you see the 332.9 million. That's what the state right now is estimating in the advance that we'll earn in the formula this year. So it is worth noting that while we're getting the 337, our base for next year is really the 332. So we're starting in a little bit of a hole, right? So if that number were to stay flat all year, next year's stability isn't based on the 337, it's based on the 332. So we have to earn our way out of that. This will just show you the year-over-year metrics for the budget. You see in the 24-25 year, We adopted 326.7 million as our estimate. We ended up a little bit higher, but this is what we approved in the adopted budget last year. And with 337 this year, we've got an increase of about $11 million. That's about a 3% increase. There are other items that go into the general fund unrestricted. The SCIF is obviously the largest piece, but there are some other items as well. And if you tally those all up in the blue line in the bottom third there, you see we're going to generate about 385.6 million this year. Add the ending balance to that, and we will have almost $480 million in total GFU resources. So we're earning a little over $23 million year over year in our GFU, and that's equates to about a $41 million year over year increase when you factor in everything, including our balances. Here we take a look at our GFU trend, and so we do this as sort of a multi-year projection to take a reasonable look at how our budget is performing on a structural level. As I mentioned earlier, the state rides a roller coaster in terms of revenues, so we can get big cuts, big reductions, and over this time period, we may see some of both, right? That's hard to predict. But we do here what I call very vanilla projections. We essentially adopt the State Department of Finance estimated COLAs. For the next few years, we build those into our revenues and project them out. So using that, you can see we're projecting our SCIF will grow to about 336 million over the next few years. So that's a key starting point to our projections. Looking at all of our GFU in the next one, again, most of the growth here is based on the growth in the SCIF, which I just showed you in the last page. You can see our projections for revenues there. So that's the one half of our equation for how our multi-year budget projections look. We need to look at the expenditures now too to see how we're performing. So some of the assumptions we use to build our expenditure trend include estimates of step and column, projected PERS and STIRS increases. Those are the key items that do that. We also assume that a certain percentage of the COLA will be allocated in the RAF. Again, they're just estimates. Certainly not, these numbers will not be precisely correct, but hopefully they're close enough that we can ballpark how we're doing. So you can see the growth in revenues there by those estimates. And finally, we put it all together, the estimated revenues and expenditures. So roughly in the middle there, to see the 25-26 number, we're showing an ending balance of 24.5%. As we move through our multi-year projections there, that shrinks a little bit to 23.5%. So I would say that looks very manageable to us. We could certainly make adjustments as needed, however the board wants over time. But what we're just trying to do here is get a sense of where we are structurally. If there's big mismatches in one or the other, those percentages and the ending fund balance would change more dramatically. And we're seeing fairly consistent numbers. So I think we're in about as good shape as we can be. So we've been talking almost exclusively about the general fund unrestricted budget now. We do get other funds, as you know. So I do want to call attention to the second line from the top there. Those are the restricted numbers. So those are categorical programs, grants, federal funds, et cetera. Note that we do have a year-over-year decline in those funds. And a couple of things are going on there. Number one is that we got a lot of one-time funds during COVID. We got a COVID block grant from the state. We had HERE funds. We had other resources from the state that aren't being replaced. So as we spend those down, those numbers go down. And the other thing that's happening is that we're not seeing growth in our traditional state restricted programs either. We're not getting COLAs regularly for the Student Equity and Achievement Program, for Strong Workforce, and for other programs too. So that's going to put a squeeze on our restricted fund budgets. So that should be a key point of our advocacy going forward with the state. All the programs need COLAs, not just the SCIF. But the big number you probably want to see is on the bottom in the middle there. That's the total budget. So this is everything we had. And you can see year over year, we doubled. We went from over $1 billion last year to 2.1 billion this year. I'm not going to promise you that we're going to do this every year. Okay. The biggest reason why we went up to 2.1 was, of course, the bond. We did an issuance of $850 million earlier this year. That's the big explainer for why it's increased. Still, I know that Jack is very happy to put out a press release saying we passed a $2 billion budget. So hopefully you will later tonight. So I'll end, wrap up here, just a few notes on the budget, and then I'll wrap up with a few ideas for planning and strategizing going forward. So again, I'm very pleased tonight to present you the increased ending balances that we've seen. We've made terrific progress over the last few years. This budget has an estimated ending balance of 24.5%. That's well over the Chancellor's Office recommended minimum that provides us some room to provide contingencies given the federal and the state uncertainty. Other post-employment benefits, OPEB, we were down around 13% funded for our actuarial obligations for that after rating those funds earlier, about 5 years ago, I think, because of budget difficulties we had. We're now beginning the process of rebuilding those funds. So we're now about 30% funded. So that's very good progress. Some of the contingencies that are planned in this budget is the RAF allocation, the resource allocation formula. We'll obviously do that work with our bargaining units later this fall, but we do have an amount built in the budget to prepare for that. So hopefully that won't be a shock to our budget, whatever is allocated or not. We've built in $2 million for federal contingencies. So again, Chancellor Smith mentioned earlier the cut to the ANAPC grant that we had otherwise been anticipating. We know that surprises like that are possible. We put some money away to help to mitigate those issues, at least for this year. And again, we want to continue to make progress on the OPEB, so we did put a contingency for an appropriation there as well. Some other items we're awaiting, I mentioned earlier, some one-time state allocations, the Student Success Grant, which was the $60 million, and the Emergency Financial Aid $20 million. We don't have those yet, but certainly those the Student Success Grant rather, will help defray some of the federal cuts that we're being exposed to at this point. Compensation growth. Note that our compensation grows annually every year, whether there's a RAF allocation or not. There's step and column, there's medical costs. I think the Kaiser costs that we budgeted this year were almost $2 million on its own. So those are big costs that we have to take on every year. We need revenue growth just to keep pace with that. And again, I already mentioned earlier, the restricted funds not keeping up. And if they don't keep up, that's going to put pressure on those programs, and that could come back to pressure on the general fund as well to backfill costs for that. So I think we need to make that a key point of our planning, key point of our advocacy going forward as well. So finally, some multi-year budget planning considerations for you. I think we need to, more than ever, maintain our strong general fund balances. I think we're going into a period where we know the state is going to be dealing with some deficits on their own. We know there's a lot of economic uncertainty with tariffs and inflation going back up, et cetera. So we need to be prepared to handle those uncertainties. Where we do utilize reserves is to protect against economic and political uncertainty, such as the federal cuts we noticed earlier, to be prepared for those restricted fund pressures as well. We need to make sure at the same time that we're making optimum use of our restricted funds. So to the extent that we have lottery funds and the like, that we use those to count against instructional supplies, for example. So we're not using the general fund to fund those things. The state give us money for that reason. We need to use it appropriately. Utilizing Measure HH efficiently, just a compliment to Dr. Peterson and his team. Part of what we're able to do with that issuance is defray some of our GFU salaries. To the extent people are working on bond costs, we can use the bond to fund some of those salaries. So that saves our budget on that score. And also the board approved a couple months ago authority to buy out some power purchase agreements that we have for hydrofuel cells, for solar. And if we can buy those out with the bond, then we don't have to make the lease payments with the general fund. So we're using the bond in ways that help the district bottom line. growth going forward. I think we all know we've made great progress in the last few years in restoring the growth since the time of the pandemic. But we also know that those high school graduating classes are getting smaller and smaller and shrinking. So opportunities to find growth are getting harder as well. So we need to be creative, get a little out of the box, and look for ways to expand the composition of our FDS, such as going to the high schools, increasing CCAP, looking at adult populations, because it's not just going to come on the natural from those high school populations. As I mentioned earlier as well, we can increase our revenues, not just for the FDS, but with a strategic look at our other SES factors, such as the supplemental allocations. If we can, for example, find ways of getting more students to apply for Pell Grants, that would help increase the revenue that we get as a district. So we should be looking at every nook and cranny of the formula. And again, I would recommend that we proceed cautiously because of the state and federal budget uncertainty, as I mentioned earlier. So lastly, it's your turn. I'll only note for my closing that this budget is balanced. It has appropriate contingencies given the federal and state uncertainty. It's been adopted, or rather developed in consistent with board policies and strategic objectives. And with that, I ask for your approval. And of course, I'm happy to take any of your questions.
Thank you, Dan. Chancellor, would you like to say anything? No? Okay. Thank you. I know that we have a subcommittee. I think it's Trustee Milgram and Trustee Macaña. Thank you for your work on that. Before we have a discussion, may I have a motion and a second on this item?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Milgram, second by Trustee Senior. Any discussion on our budget?
I just want to thank Vice Chancellor Troy and all of his staff for the excellent job and enduring my snide comments about the length of your presentation.
Tried to keep it shorter this year.
To say that you've done a terrific job this year, and we had a great face-to-face meeting, which I hope we can continue to do. And learned a lot of information. There's anybody that knows California budgeting knows that it's a nightmare. So we're lucky to have you and your entire staff, everybody in your department, managing it for us. I appreciate that very much.
Thank you, and appreciate the conversation and feedback we had the other day too.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Well, I just want to again thank you. I'm really glad we're looking at the fact that we're having declining student populations in the high schools, and that we have to find other ways to recruit more students, because that's not going to change, I'm afraid. Especially with the restrictions on immigration, et cetera, that are happening right now. We're not going to be able to create students unless we expand what we're doing. And I think I appreciate that you're looking into all of that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, thank you, Vice Chancellor, for your presentation and for the hard work. Before we vote, Student Trustee Jair, do you have anything to add, and how do you vote?
No, at this time, but President, my vote is aye.
Thank you. Please, board members, vote on this item. Okay, the vote passes unanimously. Thank you. Now we move on to item 1303, Chancellor.
Yeah, this is a legal requirement for state and local agencies to adopt a constitutional spending cap. The GAN limit was created by Proposition 4 in 1979 for California historians. It's named after Paul Gann, who was the champion behind Prop 13. Essentially what it did at the state level was froze spending levels at the 1978-1999 level, adjusted by COLA and changes in population. At the local level, we have to be funded according to a formula that incorporates the number of students that we're serving and other factors. And so the board needs to adopt a resolution setting our appropriations limit. If revenues exceeded the appropriation limits, then there would be a refund back to taxpayers in some way. The limit that we're adopting is our formula, total computational revenue, what Dan just presented, 337 million. If the formula changes, we don't have to bring back changes to the appropriations limit because we're abiding by the appropriations formula. But it is a legal requirement, so if you fail to adopt this, we will be out of compliance with state law. Therefore, I recommend you adopt the resolution.
Thank you, Chancellor. Before we have a discussion on this item, can I have a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
Moved by trustee Jameson, second by trustee Senior. Any discussion? No? Okay, student trustee Melendez, you have anything to add and how do you vote?
No, at this time, Board President, my vote is aye.
Thank you. Please, board members, vote on this item. Okay, this item passes unanimously. Now we go to item 1310.
Yeah, so this is a contract to hire a consultant to fill a vacant position in our bond program, a procurement contract specialist. That position, the procurement contract specialist, is subject to ongoing negotiations between the SPA and AFT units. And so we don't want to hire the position until it's resolved which unit it's in, but there is a lot of work in the finance and business services area that needs to be done to support the bond. So we would like to bring in a consultant until we can go out to hire it. So just looking for the board's approval to do that.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion and a second on this item?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Jameson, second by trustee Milgram. Any discussion on item 1310? Seeing none, trustee Melendez, do you have anything to add and how do you vote?
No, at this time, Board President, my vote is aye.
Thank you. Please vote, board members. Okay, this item passes unanimously. Now we go to item 1402.
Yeah, so as we've been doing with all of the positions that we create to support the bond, we pull these from the consent agenda. This is a management position that we've had throughout Props SNN. It went away when those bond programs were completed and we need to bring it back now for Measure HH. This will do administrative duties between our facilities division, our contractors, program management organizations, staff at the colleges to facilitate all the work that is being done on the bond program, reporting directly to the Associate Vice Chancellor of Facilities, Risk Management and Operations. As with other bond positions we've created, 90% of the position will be funded by the bond program. 10% will be funded by our general fund unrestricted. That allows the position to perform minor duties that are outside the bond program without us violating spending rules on the bond program. And anytime you have somebody embedded with others working for the district, the likelihood of that is very high. So it's a bit of a safety against us inadvertently violating the spending authority of the bond. So encourage the board's approval of this item.
Thank you. Chancellor, may I have a motion and a second on this item?
So moved. Second.
Moved by trustee Magaña, second by trustee Senior. Any discussion? No. Okay. Student trustee Melendez, do you have anything to add and how do you vote?
Not at this time, Board President, my vote is aye.
Thank you. Board members, please vote. Okay, this item also passes unanimously. Now we go to item.
I'd like to recommend we do items 1515 and 1516 next. We have a number of people here ready to introduce themselves to the board that'll be doing significant work on our bond program. And then we're going to do some pictures. So if we can do these two items, we'll get them out of the way and then we'll end the meeting with the last introduction of our design build entities.
Okay.
Item 1515 is ratification of emergency action. We presented on this last meeting. We had damage to fencing at City College between the Harry West Gymnasium and the 163. People that have come into that space, it's not well maintained. There's a risk of injury to those individuals. Also, people that are not students or employees being on campus in an area where students are creates some challenges. And so we've taken emergency action to clean that up and to repair that fence. The completion is estimated for the first week of November. So we'll have at least one more, if not two more updates on this item. The total cost estimate of this at this time is $254,000.
Okay, thank you, Chancellor.
And this is an action item.
Yeah, it is an action item, yes. So before we have a discussion, may I have a motion and a second?
So moved for 15 and 16, is that correct?
Oh,
just 15. I'll do a separate update on 16.
So moved for.
Hold on. Oh, it said it's different on the.
Yeah, it's two different items, so I
Okay,
need
yeah.
to do a separate update.
No, but I meant 1515 is Mesa and here is City College. Does that make sense? 1515 is city
Oh.
and on my paper is, so we're talking
It's
about
backwards there.
1515.
We're talking about
City College.
1515, which is City College.
Okay, so motion by trustee Milgram, second by trustee Senior. Okay, do we have any discussion? This is a city. None? Okay, student trustee Melendez, do you have anything to add and how do you vote?
Not at this time, but President, my vote is aye.
Okay, thank you. Board members, please vote. Thank you. The item passes unanimously. So now we go to 1516 Mesa College,
And
right?
this is an update on the work to repair and clean the water damage caused by a clogged sewer system on the fourth floor of the LRC building at Mesa College. The estimated completion for this is the last week of September. So hopefully next month I bring the final update. The total cost estimate is just shy of $253,000.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion and a second on this item?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Magana,
A second.
second by trustee Jameson. Student trustee Melendez, do you have anything to add and how do you vote?
Not at this time, but for President, my vote is aye.
Thank you. Board members, please vote. Oh, oops, it's okay. There we go. Please vote now.
We already voted.
Trustee, student trustee, there you go. The item passes unanimously. So now we're moving to 1507.
Yeah, so this is to ask the board to approve selection of Rudolph and Sletton as our design build entity for the A building expansion at City College. I'd like to invite Vice Chancellor Peterson and then members of the design build entity to introduce themselves to the board and share what's going to be happening in the months ahead at City College as we get started on this project.
Thank you, Chancellor Smith, board members. I'm excited to have the opportunity to have our pending partners that are going to effectuate all of the major bond programs to come up tonight and introduce themselves, and they'll share a little bit of their approach and how they will include folks. We're very excited about this. All these 8 projects represent about $1.3 billion or more of total value. And then on top of that, all of our renovations and renewals and capital investments that we're doing across the district is going to push this up over $2 billion. So within the next 5 years, we will be using about 65% of the total bond within those 5 years. So we are going to deliver the product as quickly as possible to benefit our students and our faculty and our staff. With that, I will let the people speak for themselves.
Good evening, Chancellor. Good evening, Board of Trustees, distinguished members of the district. Truly very honored to be standing here in front of you folks, representing the design build entity, Rudolph and Sletton and Gensler Architects. We appreciate the recommendation and nomination. We look forward to planning and executing the vision that you have set out for the Building A renovation on the City College campus. My name is Howard Mills, Vice President. Look forward to working with the district again. I'm going to pass the mic to my friend and colleague. He'll introduce himself and expand on our approach.
Good evening. My name is Andy Rogers. I'm the Senior Project Executive and Team Leader for R&S Gensler. My message for you today is that we've assembled a diverse group of talented individuals who are extremely eager to get working with the district and City College. And our priority is to create spaces where people feel comfortable being themselves. And I think we heard a lot of that this evening. So we really want to embody that. Secondly, we want to let you know that we are in complete alignment with the mission and values of City College. You're going to see our team use those values as guiding principles, not only in our interactions, but also in our approach to design and our thoughtfulness in design. I'm going to turn it over to Jamie.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jamie Intervallo. I'm an architect and project director at Gensler, and will be helping lead our Building A expansion team. So we heard loud and clear and understand the importance of creating an inclusive and welcoming center for students, one that's easy to navigate, connect, engage, and study. And we are honored to help support that development. For the first 90 days, we have planned an interactive, highly participatory, inclusive journey that starts off with a kickoff with defining City College's priorities. We look forward to co-creating with you what project success means through a cadence of workshops planned for us to listen, explore, and ultimately develop a concept plan of spaces that reflects all campus voices and visions. I'll pass it over to my partner in crime, Mr. Brian Watson.
Thank you, Jamie. As Jamie said, my name is Brian Watson, lead designer for the team. And I just want to say one thing about our process, and we look forward to, is just being really, it's a fun process. We want to work with your team. One of the things we really love to do is actually go tour similar buildings throughout the region. And we do that because it allows us to create a common language with the team so that when we're talking about design, we're all on the same page in terms of just defining what works, what doesn't. And as we start to put the program together, it's really about connecting the dots. So as we do that, we'll come up with a series of concepts, ideas that we share back and forth. And at the end of the day, I think one of the most important things that we will do in this first 90 days is set concepts, set ideas that will really stand the test of time, build a foundation for the project so that as we make decisions for the next 3 years, that first 90 days is really setting the stage for every decision to go back to those founding ideas that we developed together. Thank you. And I just want to say we're really ready to go and excited to be here. So thank you.
Thank you. So I'd ask the board's approval of item 1507, awarding of the design build entity contract.
We're gonna do it individually. Okay, so do I have a motion and a second on this item?
So moved.
I second.
Moved by trustee Magaña, second by trustee Jameson. Any discussion?
Not at this time.
No, no? Oh, okay. Student trustee Melendez, do you have anything to add and how do you vote?
Not at this time, Board President, my vote is
Okay, thank you. Board members, please vote. The item passes unanimously. Congratulations.
So we now move to item 1508, which is awarding of the Progressive Design Build Services contract for the Seville Theater replacement at City College, and would like to introduce to the board members from SUNT and RNT, the group that we are recommending for this project.
Good evening, board members and Chancellor Smith. Thank you very, very much for entrusting us with this project. We're extremely excited to be part of the bond measures moving the district forward. My name is John Messick. I'm the project executive for SUNT Construction. I'll be involved with the project from start to finish. I'd like to introduce Pam Hermosillo, who is our pre-construction project manager and design lead. And I'd like to introduce our design team so they can take a few moments and describe the journey that we're about to embark on over the next several months.
Hi, Ralph Rosling here with RNT Architects. I'm one of the founding principals of RNT. I'm very honored to be here. It's going to be a magnificent project. It's going to be a really important project in terms of, finding your way around C Street and where to go. And we hope to come up with a really good solution for that. And I'm just thrilled and excited and to be a part of the design effort and working with the stakeholders. And Romel's going to take it from here.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone. My name is Romel Elias. I'm a principal at RNT Architects. And as everyone said, we thank you very much for this opportunity. We realize we're pressed for time, but we understand that we need to describe clearly an overview of the first 90 days. It's very important. I think the first thing, obviously, we need to do a very good kickoff. We need to understand what everyone's needs are, what everyone's priorities, and more importantly, the vision. So for the first 90 days, that'll be the very first and foremost thing we will talk about. We'll go through various meetings and workshops with different entities and constituents with the hope of really identifying what it is, what's going to make this project special. What is special about Seville Theater, and why is it going to be a jewel or a community asset for this campus? So that's going to be the key. That's going to be our goal. We certainly will have everyone's involvement, every constituents that you would want to put in front of us. Ultimately, but by the end of 90 days, we will have concept designs ready for your review and others' reviews, with the hope that we would get consensus so that we can move forward. So we're very excited about this project and we're ready to go. So thank you.
Just to leave you with one additional thought. As we build on the district's master plan that's been developed over the last several years, I thought it'd be remiss if we didn't really take a moment to thank the district's leadership team for their guidance in the selection of the progressive design build delivery method. Based on the experience we've had on multiple projects, really engaging the stakeholders with experienced practitioners allows work to move at a lot quicker pace and at a lower cost. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
With that, I recommend the board approve our selection.
Thank you. Okay, do I have a motion and a second on item 1508?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Magaña, second by trustee Milgram. Any discussion? No, I look forward to seeing the new theater at City College. That'll be exciting. Student trustee Melendez, do you have anything to add and how do you vote?
Not at this time. My vote is aye.
Thank you. Board members, please vote. Okay, the item passes unanimously. Congratulations.
Okay, we moved to item 1509, which is selection of the progressive design build services for the Performing Arts Center and Administration Building and Parking Structure Project at San Diego Mesa Project. Would like to welcome PCL and HGA and just quickly, if the board is thinking we've heard PCL before, they are doing the theater at ECC. So familiar with our district and many important projects. So
yes, thank you very much. Hello and good evening. I'm Patrick Goforth, pre-construction manager with PCL. I'm joined here tonight with my colleagues, Kevin Smart, project manager, and our design partners, HGA, Kevin Donahue, and Christina Delgado. First and foremost, I do want to say thank you. We are truly grateful and honored to be selected to help pioneer this project and work with you guys on the Mesa College Performing Arts and Theater and Parking Structure Project. This is a remarkable opportunity, not only for us, but it's going to be an uplifting project for the community, the students, and the entire campus at large. Our team is fully aligned with the Mesa vision, and we really look forward to delivering an amazing and inclusive facility for everyone that we're going to be proud of for years to come. We really can't wait to dive in and work with everybody and get involved with the campus and the students and listen to what we really want to get out of this project overall. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Christina, who's going to help guide us over the next few months on what that vision is going to look like.
Thank you, Patrick. And good afternoon, good evening, trustees, and everyone who is stuck with us today. It's difficult to convey just how excited we are for this project. We see this as a once-in-a-generation opportunity for Mesa College, and we don't take that responsibility lightly. Though we have been dreaming about this project for months, we formally began the programming phase on September 24th and will continue through early December. Our goal is simple: to ensure every voice is heard while keeping the process clear and focused. We are here to listen to Mesa, and this is how we do it. Programming is where we define the why of the project, the mission this building will serve, and how its programmatic, functional, and operational needs can be shaped to support student success. Through workshops and outreach meetings with faculty, staff, students, we will carefully examine current spaces, what works, what doesn't, and explore how the new facility can support adaptability, the arts, and growth for the future. During this programming phase, every stakeholder's input is critical for ensuring we establish a sound foundation for the design phase that follows. Theater, music, campus administration, and facilities, they all have unique requirements that must be analyzed and considered in the multiple iterations and design options we will develop for evaluation. The recommended solution will be the one that Mesa College identifies as most effectively balancing the multitude of wants and needs for the building. And by the end of the year, we will have a finalized space program, detailed design criteria, conceptual massing, and locations of these buildings on that famous hillside. Once programming is complete, we will move into design, guided by Mesa College's vision of creating a new performing arts gateway to campus. This approach allows us to get construction started as early as June 2027 for the parking structure and March 2028 for the Performing Arts Center. Our ultimate goal is to create more than just a building. This will be a signature space, one that prepares students for the future while serving as a cultural and educational institution for the entire region. Thank you for putting your trust in us. Let's get started.
Thank you. Recommend the board approve PCL and HGA as our design build entity for Mesa College's Performing Arts Center.
Awesome. Do I have a motion and a second on this item?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Magaña, second by trustee Jameson. Any discussion? No, it's exciting. Chair, student trustee Melendez, do you have anything to add? How do you vote?
Not at this time, Board President, my vote is aye.
Thank you. Please, board members, vote. Passes unanimously. Congratulations.
We moved to item 1510 and the Sports and Kinesiology Sciences project at San Diego Mesa College, where we're recommending CW Driver and LPA Design Studios. Please come introduce yourself to the board.
Hi, well, thank you very much for having us here today and present for you. I'm going to introduce our team, representing our design team, LPI Architects, Mr. Flanagan right there, Matthew Parroca, and Brent Hughes is Chief Operating Officer for CW Driver. My name is Hank Withar. I'm Vice President for CW Driver. When we heard about the project, that we were going to be awarded the project, we were beyond ecstatic. This is the type of project that we dream of doing, that we got into this business for, and it is just a fantastic opportunity. It's actually a privilege for us to build this project for you. It's a privilege to serve the district, to serve the board, to serve the students, and to serve the entire community and the faculty. Our goal really is to provide a first-rate institution and a first-rate building that's accessible by all, welcome by all. And our goal is everybody walks into this project just to say, wow, this is incredible. Before I turn it over to the design team, we'll talk a little bit about the design for the next few months. I want to just congratulate and thank Dr. Peterson and his team who've just done an incredible job in putting this our bond program together. The speed and the professionalism is really remarkable, and we see a lot of RFPs. We see a lot of processes, and it's really remarkable what his team has done. So, having said that, I'm going to turn it over to Steve Flanagan, who is the design principal for ABA.
Thank you, Hank. And I want to echo those comments. I'm considering this the new gold standards, and I'd like a round of applause for my colleagues for the selection process. It's amazing what you've done and the amount of time that you've done it in. You're saving millions of dollars in escalation by getting to market so quick. So congratulations on just an amazing procurement process. As Hank said, I'm Steve Flanagan. I'm an architect. Been a licensed architect since 1972, but before that, I was a collegiate athlete and a kinesiology major. So this project type gets me really excited. And then when I had the opportunity to meet President Hands and some of her team members, I'm so excited to collaborate with her. She's such an amazing leader, an inspirational leader. So I know that trickles down to her administrators, her faculty, her staff, the coaches, the students that we're going to get to collaborate with. So just can't tell you how excited we are, but I can tell you the first 30 days, we're going to collaborate diligently with all of these stakeholders and campus constituents. We're going to meet weekly and forge an amazing sort of programming and planning process through the end of the year that will really set the foundation for a successful innovative and iconic project that is going to lead to Mesa College students becoming true Olympians. So thank you for the opportunity, and we also look forward to getting started.
All right, with that, I recommend the board approve the award to CW Driver and LPA Design Studios.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion and a second on this item?
So moved. Second.
Moved by trustee Magaña, second by trustee Senior. Any discussion? None? Okay. Student trustee Melendez, how do you vote? Anything to add and how do you vote?
Not at this time. My vote is aye.
Thank you. Board members, please vote. The item passes unanimously. Congratulations.
Okay, we move to Miramar College. The first project will be the Performing Arts Center and English Gallery building project, where we are recommending BN Builders and Miller Hull. I'd like to welcome them to introduce themselves to the board.
Good evening, board members. My name is Jamie Offord, principal at BM Builders. And on behalf of our entire team, we are extremely excited, grateful, and just honored that you trust us for a project like this. I've got a couple of my colleagues here that I'll introduce in just a minute, but I just want you to know we understand the importance of this project, the impact it's going to have on the students and faculty, and we take it very seriously. We've already started thinking and preparing on how we're going to engage with the students, the staff, the faculty, and make sure we're reporting back to the district and the program managers on all the information that's going to be needed to make critical decisions. And we're going to provide all that support to you along the way. With me today, Kevin Pokriva is our project executive from BM Builders. Kevin Carpenter is our design project manager, and Ben Dalton is our principal at Miller Hull and the design lead. And I'm going to ask him to share with you what the next 60 to 90 days looks like and how we're going to get our arms wrapped around all this. Thank you.
Hi, wonderful to be here. As Jamie said, my name is Ben Dalton. I'm a partner at Miller Hull. I manage our local San Diego office, and just so excited to be standing here in front of you today. We have been talking about the opportunity that this Performing Arts, English, and Visual Arts Gallery offers to to Miramar College. Mesa was the last project that I built with you guys, so it's in my brain some. So, it's not only a physical gateway, which is what the master plan calls for the campus, but the programs inside this building are educational gateways through the performing arts and the visual arts, spoken word and literature within the English department. We really want to show off what's happening within the school, and we want to invite the community in. As we look forward to the first 90 days of this project, as many people have said in progressive design build, the beginning of a project is the most important step. We really need to immediately start building trust and engagement with the stakeholders that are in the building and with the campus at large. Within the first 2 weeks, we'll be doing visioning sessions. We'll be having technical meetings with the different departments, as well as collaborative meetings talking about the overall vision for the project. And we'll also be building outreach programs so that we can not only talk with the users within the building, but also reach out to the college at large and the community in this case. Within the first 30 days, we're going to start to have program documents and concepts that we're going to bring back for discussion. We're going to do benchmarking so we can talk about other projects, be looking at cost and quality at the same time that we're talking about vision. And we'll have an eco charrette where we're going to look at sustainability options, designing for health and wellness for your students, and also universal design and equitable design for the campus. By the end of 60 days, we expect to have a concept established. And then we'll move from that into schematic design, where we're going to start proving out what the vision is, making sure that we're on budget and that we're aligned with the vision and getting all the program correct. We cannot wait to get started. Not only are we excited, but we are ready to go. Look forward to seeing where this journey takes us together. Thank you.
Thank you. And so with that, I would recommend the board, as I see Vice President O'Du show the Miramar love to BN Builders and Miller Hull by approving this contract.
Thank you. Do I have a motion and a second on this item?
So moved.
My second.
Moved by trustee Magaña, second by trustee Jamison. Do I have any discussion? Discussion, student trustee, anything to add and how do you vote?
Not at this time, Board President, my vote is aye.
Thank you. Board members, please vote. And the item passes unanimously. Congratulations.
Next is item 1512 and the Montgomery Field Aviation Instructional Center project for San Diego Miramar College, where we're recommending Harper Construction and CSCA.
Good evening, and thank you, Chancellor Smith, members of the Board of Trustees, and district leadership for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. My name is Jason Ridings, and I'm the architect of record for this project with CSCA and Harper Construction. It's an honor to be here alongside Christian Harper, our project manager, and Christy Weber, our business development manager, who has prepared an outline for each of you. On behalf of our full design build team, thank you for this opportunity to partner with the district and Miramar College on such a mission-driven facility. This Aviation Instruction Center represents a meaningful next step in the evolution of Miramar College's FAA certified aviation program. Already one of the oldest in the region, it supports the district's long-term vision for workforce development in partnership with the FAA, the industry, and the California Community College Aviation Alliance. Over the next 90 days, we'll be listening intently. We'll begin with a site visit tomorrow to review the existing facilities. Following board approval and a design notice to proceed, we'll launch a formal kickoff. And from there, we'll move immediately into a structured programming phase that centers stakeholder voices across the college community. Programming means we'll be asking questions about space types, user needs, circulation, maintenance, and instruction. We'll be working with students, faculty, classified staff, and faculty staff to define what this facility needs to do and who it means to serve.
Thanks, Jason. My name is Christian Harper, and I'll be overseeing the construction phase of the project. Our role during programming is to listen, support, identify early opportunities to improve constructability, cost efficiency, and scheduling. We'll facilitate a series of structured workshops, targeted breakout sessions, user interviews, helping surface adjacencies, space requirements, and infrastructure needs. At the same time, we'll be working behind the scenes to coordinate input from the engineering disciplines and keep the project aligned with SDCCD design standards and DSA requirements. We've laid out a roadmap in the one-page handout you have today, which shows you the next few months, how they'll unfold. And our goal is simple: to deliver a facility that's shaped by its users, fits the site, meets code, and reflects the values of the district and Miramar College. Thanks again for selecting us. We're excited to get started. This will be a fantastic aviation facility. Thank you.
With that, I recommend the board approve Harper Construction and CSCA for this project.
Thank you. And you really are ready to start. I see that tomorrow you have a field visit. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Magaña, second by trustee Nieto Senior. Student trustee Melendez, do you have anything to add, and how do you vote?
Not at this time, but President, my vote is aye.
Okay, board members, please vote. And the item passes unanimously. Thank you. Congratulations.
Board members, I just want to clarify, all the groups actually have handouts for you all, but we just thought for time purposes that since it's already kind of late. So you will get all these. Margaret's putting all those things together, and they will send, and they will have an electronic version that can then be put into the minutes and available.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.
Next up, item 1513 is the Early Education Center project at Miramar College, which we are recommending be awarded to Flint and Mosier Drew.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Chancellor. There is one thing in common. We're definitely all excited and we're all ready to get started. My name is Taylor Bruce. I am the project executive at Flint Builders, and I am here with our design team, Mosier Drew. On our team's behalf, I would like to extend our deepest thanks to the board and to Dr. Peterson. We are very excited to fulfill his dreams and vision for the San Diego Community College District with the Early Education Center at Miramar campus.
Good evening. My name is Mike Canales. I'll be the project manager with Flint on this project, and I'd like to pass it off to Mosier Drew, our partners, to talk about the first 90 days and how we plan to kick off design.
Good evening. My name is Dan Dubrow, Senior Principal with Architects Mosier Drew. I wanted to talk a little bit about, how excited we are and why we're so excited about this project. This project is so different from so many because it's not just about, creating the space for your staff and for your students, but also for the youngest learners in the community. Giving them a place to learn, designing a place for them to learn, and with the university, with the college as well. And really that the support that having this facility gives to both your staff and your students and the youngest learners, the young kids. Josh is going to talk a little bit about the process over the 90 days, but we wanted to express our gratitude and excitement to really be here with you to develop it together.
Hello, my name is Joshua Larson. I'm a principal and I will be the project architect for this project. And in the handout that you'll get later, you'll see our 90-day overview. So it's a high-level overview of what we're planning on doing in the next 90 days. We're going to start off with the project kickoff, where the team will be deeply involved with the district, with the college, with the staff, with the faculty. We want to establish the schedule and the protocols moving forward. The next round will be the first round of the stakeholder session. So we're going to meet with the different folks around the campus, the district, the staff, the students themselves. We really want to establish those guiding principles, gather information, make sure that all the voices are heard. There are so many important parts to this project, such as the classrooms, the offices, but also those outdoor learning spaces that those young learners really need to thrive and to discover and to explore. Next, we'll move into the site review and do some due diligence on the site with our team ourselves, such as the site investigations, surveys, and different things like that we'll be doing in the background. Then we get into the second round of stakeholder sessions, where we are going to do design discussions with everyone and then gather feedback from those discussions, which moves us into design implementation, where we will do some design and documentation on our end to bring it back for that final step that is the design review session, where we'll do the finalization of the program and the design.
Again, we just want to thank you guys for putting your trust in us. We are looking forward to making this a collaborative process. As a team, we thrive on relationship-driven projects, and we're really looking forward to making this a great project with you guys.
With that, recommend board's approval.
Okay, do I have a motion and a second on this item? Moved by trustee Magana, second, I'm gonna second. This item, do we have any discussion? No? Okay, seeing none. Student trustee Melendez, anything to add and how do you vote?
Not at this time, but President, my vote is aye.
Okay, thank you. Please, board members, vote. Okay, the item passes unanimously. Congratulations.
We move to the final item on our agenda, item 1514, the West City expansion project at the College of Continuing Education, where we have recommended to the board DPR and HGW for this project.
And you're wearing purple.
Thank you guys for making it all the way till the end and saving us for last. I'm Amanda Pritchett with DPR Construction, and I'll serve as the project executive on the West City expansion. I want to take this time to thank each of you for the diligence, the preparation, and everything that's gone into making today possible. To see the excitement with all of our peers in the industry it just blows me away. So I'm so thankful for this opportunity. I'm joined here with my amazing teammates, Anthony Damon with DPR Construction. He is our higher education core market leader. This entire pursuit has been his baby from the beginning, and it's so wonderful to see it come to life. And then our design partners, Hannah Gabriel Wells. We have Jim Gabriel and Sean Chen, both principals with the firm. Jim's going to walk you through what's coming up next at West City Expansion.
All right. Thanks, Amanda, and good evening to the board, and thanks, of course, for this grand opportunity for us. And when we look ahead at the West City campus expansion and that process, we find it very exciting, and especially so at HGW Architecture, because the site is practically in our backyard. So it's near and dear to us, and we're thrilled to get going. And as an architect, one of our favorite parts of the process is the very beginning. It's that moment when we get to engage with the stakeholders and really work with them to craft a vision and think about what the future of a new expansion could really be. And really doing that through their voice and their ideas and making sure it supports their values. That's what we're building. And ultimately, to build something that reflects the student culture of that particular location at West City campus. Well, with our partners at DPR, Sean and I are going to be leading an engagement process. We've been working together right away. We've scripted out the next 90 days, and we're going to hit the ground running with engagement meetings, starting at a leadership level, thinking about vision, goal setting, mapping out the process, and then we take that right away into individual stakeholder meetings where we can really meet, mine out the important information, and do that both individually with stakeholder groups and then also collectively as a group, as a team. And that really helps us work through any potential challenges or conflicts as you develop the project. Another super important part of this project is that it's going to involve community engagement. And we look forward to that process. It's a bit unique here, and we think it's a grand opportunity to engage with the community, look for shared programs and opportunities, and a way to ultimately, stitch the West City campus project into the fabric of the community. And we think that would make a terrific success. So knowing time is short, and I'll wrap up there, but just wanted to pass along our genuine enthusiasm for this project and the road ahead for us. Thanks.
Just something I didn't mention at the beginning that I meant to. Part of the advantage of us having moved so quickly to do the issuance and be able to come to this point, we had no fewer than 7 bids on all of these projects, as many as 13. So we had a highly competitive process and really did have first choice in the market because we were quick to get out. So I thank the board for their support on that. With that, recommend approval of this contract.
Thank you. Do I have a motion and a second on this item?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Jameson. Second by trustee Magaña. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, student trustee Melendez, do you have anything to add, and how do you vote?
Not at this time, Board President. My vote is aye.
Thank you. Board members, please vote. Okay. Congratulations. Item passes unanimously. Okay. We've come to the end of our meeting. I think it was obviously a very long meeting, but I think we saw the passion from beginning to end. Thank you, everybody, for making it here. Seeing no further business on the agenda. If there are no objections, the meeting is now adjourned. Did it.
I object.